astronauts, this is Brandi and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. Hi, I'm Brandi. Like I said, if you are new here, I like to combine tarot and astrology to give grounded, everyday, practical predictions. So, before we get started, I just want to say thanks for all of you who have voted on the polls. You guys have voted to keep both the seasonal and the monthly readings. So I'm here giving you the fall 2025 readings. We're going to see what's unfolding over the next 3 months. Any upheavals, any blessings, any breakthroughs, any milestones being reached, we're going to get into it. But before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, to comment, and to subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on social medias, whether that's Instagram, whether that's TikTok. I have 2 different TikToks. My personal vlog TikTok, if you want to just know what I'm doing in my life, and the other TikToks where I will post the recaps when it comes to our forecast look-aheads. And you'll also get some astrology insights. So, before we get started, I also want to remind you, if you would like to book a reading with me, link is in the description bar below. Just fill out the form. I'll get back to you and you will have your reading in no time. Now we can jump into this reading. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey, pile number 1, let's see what fall 2025 has in store for you. We have the 6 of Pentacles reversed, the Ace of Pentacles upright. We have the Queen of Wands. We have Death. And we have the 8 of Cups. You know, we got that for another pile. And then we also have our Astro cards. Venus Love. I had a feeling I was going to pull Venus. That's really weird. Like, my intuition must be strong these days. So, what we have in store. Oh, almost forgot about the Astro dice. Let's start with that. Okay. Uranus in Taurus in the 6th house. That's actually really interesting because I think in Vedic astrology, Uranus is in Taurus. Or, I hope I'm right. I haven't looked at my Vedic charts in a minute, so I'm a little bit out of line, you know. Yeah, it is in Taurus, and just thought about it. And so I think that's really interesting that we have an actual astrological alignment that is going on in the sky in terms of astrology vibes. So Uranus and Taurus, in the 6th house. I know this energy very well. I've seen it a lot and, well, enough. And this is very much like, any job situation you could possibly think of, or any work situation or routine you could think of, it goes through so many changes. So what this means for the fall, and if I say month, excuse me, I'm just used to doing the monthlies. What this means for the up and coming fall is there may be some shifts within your routine. So what I have seen with this placement is that you may change your diet. You may change your work routine. Like, it can go from working from home to being in the office, or being in the office and working from home. You may go from a routine where you're like in the gym 3 times a week to, none at all. You may start a new sort of exercise. That has happened when I've seen people have Uranus in the 6th house. They might pick up like weightlifting. They might pick up running. They might try yoga. They might try meditation. This is all of these things that happen. I'll say this, when Uranus went into, I believe, my 6th house, I started my YouTube channel. So that is technically a new routine, a new job, a new hobby that technically brings in a revenue. I mean, I made it with the intention of being a hobby, but technically now it's sort of a source of revenue. So I think that it can bring about opportunities in that way. It can bring you a part-time job. It can make you work multiple jobs. All of these things could be happening within the fall. And then in some cases, it can make you lose a job. In a lot of cases, I've seen that. Sometimes due to injuries, sometimes due to layoffs, sometimes due to, you know, workplace politics. Sometimes it's, you know, something illegal, you know, that they do, because you can't, even though it's at will, you can't just fire someone for any reason, right? So all of these things are things that are possibilities that could be occurring within this month. And in the month of Taurus, this is a sense in the sign of Taurus, this is like your stability is being rocked. As I mentioned, all of these things are like a foundation of stability. And Taurus generally rules like money. And it also rules things within your body, represents your face. Sometimes this can represent like, oh my gosh, I'm having random breakouts. Let me tell you, when I had Uranus in my 6th house, when it first started, I was having a lot of issues with my skin. By the time that transit had ended, you know, the issue subsided a little bit, you know. So I was able to get it a little bit more under control. And so and since you're having this in the sign of Taurus, that's putting an even more emphasis on like the skin, the face, things along the lines of that. So you may change your routine for that. If you're someone who's like, I don't usually wear sunscreen, you might just start wearing sunscreen in the fall, you know. Just because it's fall time, we're going into winter, does not mean the sun cannot affect your skin, right? So these are all of these transformations and changes that can be happening. This could be a loss of just suddenly lost coworkers. I've seen that happen where people have Uranus going in through, you know, the 6th house. And then all of a sudden, you know, a bunch of coworkers get laid off or fired, right? This happens with this type of placement. It's a lot of shock and surprises, and you don't know what's next. It's this feeling of instability that may be going in. And that makes total sense when we have the 6 of Pentacles reverse. You may feel as though what you're putting in is not deserving of what you are getting out of either your work, your routine, whatever the case may be. You're like, I'm putting in all this work and nothing seems to be happening right now. That's kind of the energy you might be starting the fall with. And you're like, I really need to have some changes here. Or it just feels a little bit unbalanced. It feels unstable here. It doesn't feel as though I have a livable income. I'm making I have a low paying job. It barely pays the rent. I don't have enough to save. Like I have to work paycheck to paycheck. That is that 6 of Pentacles energy, where you're feeling like you're not getting those opportunities, or the opportunities just feel like so unsteady. That's the energy of this placement here. And so to me, it feels like you're looking to try to find a way to bring more balance within your life. Maybe to bring some more balance when it comes to, like I said, a routine, a diet, when it comes to a job, because your job obviously affects your routine. If you have a job that is an hour away, now you've got to drive an hour away in traffic, and that's part of your routine now, and you have to account for that. Versus, you know, if you had a job where you work from home, you have a different routine. And so it feels as though you're putting in a lot of work towards something, or you're exhausting yourself through this routine, or maybe your routine is changeable. Sometimes people have jobs where they have changing shifts, or the schedule is unpredictable, and it's just like you're on call, and that's just like, oh, I don't want to deal with that anymore. This is not something that I feel is sustainable for me in the long run. And you're looking really hard at that. And you want to make some changes. You want some transformations. You don't want to have to keep basically advocating for your rights, I guess, in a way, or your well-being. You feel like you have to constantly advocate for yourself just for the bare minimum. And that is the energy of that 6 of Pentacles. It's like, why am I putting in all this effort just to receive not much back? And I think this fall you're going to make some changes and some transformations. And I just realized, duh, we pulled the Death card. Of course you are. So, so we're not going to get into that yet, but let's move on to the Ace of Pentacles. That Ace of Pentacles here, when I see it, when I come to finances, I love it. Because to me, with this Uranus and Taurus in the 6th house, there is a focus on the material, especially since we got the 6 of Pentacles as well. And we got Venus, and we got the Ace of Pentacles, and we got Death. All of these things connect to finances. And so to me, it feels like, wow, you're getting new opportunities in the fall. New opportunities that feel like they're bringing about more fairness, like they're bringing about more balance. That this could be a new job. This could be a new source of income. This could be someone offering you some strong, solid advice. I think that when we see this Ace of Pentacles, you're off to this new start. You're ensuring that you're bringing about more stability, more comfort, and more peace within your life. Because when you have that earth element and it's solid and it's upright, for the most part, it's like, finally, like I have a sense of security. I have a strong foundation here. This is like, oh, I'm able to start saving now. I'm purchasing a stock, an ETF. I am opening up a 401k, a Roth IRA. I am looking towards long-term stability planning. I'm making new financial strides. I'm learning more information. Maybe you decide to pick up the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? To teach yourself about financial literacy. You start making realistic and sustainable choices. This can also represent, another revenue stream opening up. I know another pal is very similar, though theirs is a little bit more like emotional and things on that. But this is actual tangible incomes that is coming in. Like you put your first deposit into a savings account for a new house, right? You're saving for a new house. You land your first client. You get a check for a tax return. Sometimes some tax returns are late, okay? And you get a tangible gift that is like very valuable to you that you can use. There's practical growth here when it comes to your finances. And so I really love that scenario happening for you. I think that also when it comes to your self-esteem, to me, this feels as if you are finding a new sense of confidence, if that makes sense. With the Ace of Pentacles coming in, it's like, I finally achieved some small win that is allowing me to feel better about myself. Because when we have the Six of Pentacles reverse, that's like feeling as if you are a little bit out of whack. It doesn't necessarily represent low self-esteem, but it can represent like a lack of faith in yourself. Like, oh, I don't have good judgment when it comes to following advice or making choices. So it's a little bit hard on yourself sometimes, but it's not overall like I'm in the slums, I have no self-worth. It's just like, oh, I'm criticizing my choices a little bit. But you don't know what you don't know, right? We're all human. And it also shows that you are investing in yourself. The Ace of Pentacles can say, you know what? It's time to invest in my glow up. I'm going to take a new dance class. I am going to buy some new clothes. I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to go get a facial. You are investing in you. You start telling yourself, I'm confident, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm capable. You start to actually make strides towards your goals. And you're starting to see things come into fruition. Because things start small, but then they accumulate over time, especially if you put in effort for it. You may not see all the results before. Like maybe it just felt like, oh, I'm putting in things for nothing. I'm doing things for nothing. This fall, you're actually starting to see tangible results. And you're like, wow, this is actually coming to something. Like this is actually, I'm actually getting something out of this. This is actually turning around. So I really do feel as though that is something that's going to be happening for you. Like even something like this can be like, oh, I'm a really bad cook because, second house, or I read this as the second house in astrology, is what you eat. And obviously if cooking becomes a part of that story. And so this is like, I'm investing in a cooking class so that I can prepare really nice meals for myself and make myself feel good and feel accomplished. And, I impress myself, that type of energy there. This is like, I'm polishing up my resume. My resume looks sharp. It looks clean. It looks nice. I look like I'm somebody who deserves that job. You hit a savings goal. I remember I met someone, they had a savings goal of like, oh, I want to save $5,000. You hit that goal. Or you start making strides towards hitting that goal. And you're like, whoa, I'm at 1,000 already. That's incredible. I never thought I would get to that point. And then you start to go further and further and further. And I feel like that is happening this fall. The building blocks are forming. They're stacking up. And you are hitting those goals, or you are making strides to hit those goals. And as I mentioned, the self-esteem is getting stronger. You're starting to believe in yourself. You're not neglecting your own needs. You're honoring your feelings. You are no longer tying your self-worth to maybe how others are treating you, because with this Six of Pentacles reversed, maybe sometimes other people have been looking more so out for themselves than you, and it's not a fair trade. It's not a fair balance. They may even be taking more than, they're giving, maybe they're always like asking you to borrow money, or they're asking you for your time, or they're asking you for your energy. Can you stay longer? Can you do this? Can you do that? And you're just like, absolutely not. Not anymore. Not with this Ace of Pentacles here. Now let's get into this Queen of Wands for career here. Because when we go to the Ace of Pentacles, the Queen of Wands, these cards connect and can represent, hey, I'm receiving new opportunities within my career. And maybe that's why you're getting this, Ace of Pentacles here. Now, the Queen of Wands is interesting when it comes to career, because she brings about a sense of, strong energy, enthusiasm, fieriness, confidence. It's really much like, I am the champion this month when it comes to my career, when it comes to my reputation, when it comes to my work, when it comes to my goals. That is everything that this placement rules right here. I think that this is showing that people are seeing you as the person who can get things done, and you get it done fast. The Queen of Wands, she's working like this. She's got things to do. She's like, bigger, better, on to next, bigger, better, on to next. Like, she's going. She is someone who has that drive, who has that charisma. People see you as somebody who's just fun to be around. When you think about like the Queen of Wands, you think about that fiery nature energy. And fire signs are known for being a little goofy, They all have their reputations. I think Leos are known for being the most entertaining and the most funny, right? Sagittarius maybe the second most, and then Aries probably the least. They're a little bit known for calling people out and being a little bit hot-headed, but they are known for also being very ambitious. Personally, as an Aries myself, I've heard this said to me a billion times. Wow, you got that done really fast. And I feel like that is you this month when it comes to your work, your goals, or whatever. You're hitting them really fast. And people are like, wow, okay, you're doing that now? You're doing this next? Like, this is wild to me, okay? You're motivating your team. You are feeling maybe a new sense of support when it comes to management. Maybe you get a new boss. Maybe you get a new team. Maybe you get a new project. Maybe that team is more supportive, and maybe that new boss is more supportive. That is a combination that can happen here as well. This can also represent if you have like your own small business, you know how to market yourself, and you know how to draw in customers. And that's something that you are doing this month. When it comes to that, you're bringing about your personality, you're bringing about your passion, and people are seeing this within you. And they're like, wow, this person is very charming. I want to listen to them. Like, I really like them. I think I'm going to, invest in their product or whatever it is that they're selling or whatever. So that is something that is really great. And I love this because the Queen of Wands, she's not known for strategy, but she is a strategic placement. All wands are strategic, right? And so I feel as though you are approaching your job, your career in a new sense of strategy. And that makes sense for this Uranus and Taurus in 6th house as well, right? Because Uranus and Taurus is like, I've got to approach things in a different way. Or I've got to really turn up the dial. I've got to bring in this new strategy. I got to market myself a bit different. I've got to switch up my career. I don't know if this is a career shift though. I don't want to say that. I think you're going to be at the same job. You might take on another job. You could lose a job. That is possible. That is possible. But for the most part, I don't feel like this is like a sudden career change right off the bat this fall. Okay, I do want to say that. I think that this combination of cards, I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. Oh yeah, the Queen of Wands. She's known for being very likable within your work environment, very warm, inspiring, uplifting towards others. She's more of like an inspirational leader, like, look at what we accomplished, look at the lives that we affected, look at how our customers act towards us. They smile when they come in. We have one of the best companies, we have one of the best stores, we have one of the best organizations, whatever the case may be, wherever you work at. It's about taking pride in the positive effects that you have on people and having a strong vision and enacting on it. And I think that is happening for you this month. And I wouldn't be surprised if you had some idea that you were sitting on for a minute, and now this month you're taking actions towards it and you're making real world strides. Be careful not to overextend yourself, because wands can burn out a little bit, but I do feel as though you are doing your best to remain balanced. You're really trying to switch up your vibe. And I will say the Queen of Wands, she's spicy. She's a little sassy. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sassy conversations where you were calling some people out this month, right? Okay? I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. But I really do think that it's showing that you are shining bright, that you are bringing creativity into your roles this month. You're bringing creativity into your goals this month. And you are moving forward in a new way that you haven't typically done before. So expect some changes in that environment. Also, this could represent some shifts in your work environment, just because the Queen of Wands is nestled in between the Ace of Pentacles and the Death card. And when we have them nestled in together, between this representing new beginnings and this representing new beginnings, and also the Eight of Cups because going towards new beginnings, there may be some new beginnings when it comes to your goals, whether that's having new goals, whether that's actually making strides toward those goals, because sometimes we have ideas and maybe we don't have time to act on them, or we have a little bit of self-doubt, or maybe we feel like we don't have enough resources. But this month it's like, oh no, I'm actually going to bring in those goals into reality. I'm actually going to make strides towards those goals. I'm going to make sure it gets done. I'm going to do that. So I do want to say that. And there could be some changes or transformations at work where it can mean anything, because with the Death card next to the Queen of Wands, this could be anything like, okay, well, we are changing our seating arrangements. We have a department closed. We have a building closed. We are changing the way we do a certain policy. We're making some shift here when it comes to how there is our reporting structure. It can represent those things, okay? But these will generally be changes for the better. Now, when we look at this Death card and it comes to love, wow, talk about intense. Talk about intense for that. So the Death card, if you are in a relationship, then 100%, then this could be anything from, if we start with the things that are a little bit tough, breakup, divorce, end of a relationship. That's the most obvious interpretation, right? So we have to throw out the obvious sometimes. But another time, this can represent, going through a transformation within your relationship. And a lot of people can go through trials and tribulations within their relationships. And the Death card is like, we're working on those changes. We're transforming our relationship to one that is more healthy, more sound, more supported, more committed, more loving, more open, whatever the case may be, to bring about a better relationship. That's ultimately it. This pile also connects to friendships and family, so I'll get into that in a minute, but I do want to get to the singles first. Oh, and also this can represent letting go of like a past relationship. So maybe like you've had a heartbreak, or you've had some feelings about a past relationship. Maybe you don't even want to be with them anymore, but you're just like, oh man, I'm mourning the potential of what we could be. Sometimes there's that thought process there, and you're releasing that. I feel as though for those who are single, that this can represent the same thing of like, you know, letting go of past relationships or dating encounters or romantic feelings. But this can also represent you are evolving as a person to attract the partner that is going to be the best fit for you, that will bring about a sense of love and comfort and respect and care. Especially since we have this Eight of Cups right next to it. It's like I'm leaving behind those similar choices or patterns that I might have made in the past that may have been self-sabotaging, that may have not worked out, that may not have given me the results that I wanted. And I feel as though that's something that is changing, especially with inside of you and your mindset and how you approach relationships and love. You might even be making new room for more love to come into your life. You're like, I've got to clear myself from all of this baggage that I've been holding on to, and I've got to make way in my heart for someone new to come in. Like I'm no longer want to think about my ex. I no longer want to do the thing where I'm doing casual flings or situationships. I no longer want to date people based off of superficial reasons that don't matter. I want to look at people's character. But this shows that you're no longer accepting the breadcrumbs, not within your work, not within your relationships, not within dating. I love this feeling for the fall because you really are rising up and you're transforming. The Death card can also represent slow fade outs of friendships or maybe toxic family members, and you're just like, I don't really want to be connected to this person anymore. Or even just the dynamics change sometimes. Not necessarily like, oh, we're ending this friendship and things are terrible, da da da. Sometimes the Death card is just like, oh, okay, one friend moved away, so our dynamic has changed. You know, instead of seeing them, you know, every weekend, every other weekend, you know, I see them every now and then, and I call them, or we video chat or whatever. It's just a change in the situation and dynamics. Doesn't necessarily mean a friendship is ending. It's transforming. This can also bring about, like, maybe you're doing new things together with friends. Maybe it's like, oh, we always used to go out for brunch and eat, and we used to party and live it up. But, you know, now we're in our 30s, and I guess you can still go to, people still generally go to brunch, but you know what I mean? Now we're in our 30s, we want to do something a little bit more relaxing. We don't want to turn up as much. Like, it's just a changing in the dynamics and how you guys do things together. You know, maybe we go to, I don't know, a music festival or like a jazz festival. We sit in the park and we listen to music and we drink some tea or whatever. Like, that is, we're switching up the vibe change when it comes to our friendship. And this pile also represents creativity or any sort of passion or what you like to do in your free time as well. And that is changing as well. You are thinking about how you spend your free time, and you're wanting to make some changes and transformations. And that really aligns well with this Uranus 6th house Taurus energy, right? It's like I'm decluttering, I'm resetting things, I am reorganizing. I want to spend my time, instead of doing things that aren't productive or aren't bringing a passion and fulfillment into my life, I want to spend my time on things that I know will actually benefit me in the long run, that will bring me more peace of mind, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm going to start journaling. I want to start reflecting. I want to start, you know, going into therapy. I'm thinking about any spiritual activities. Obviously, the 8th house connects to the occult, so you could just be spending your time like reading tarot cards. But but ultimately, you're going through some shifts and changes when it comes to how you spending your free times. Okay, you're like, oh, I finally have time to go through old emails. I finally have time to, maybe I want to spend my free time meal prepping. Maybe I want to start, you know, self-care Sundays. You know, it's just like a lot of different changes are happening with how you decide to spend your time and energy. And if you have some sort of brand, if you have some sort of business, you're going to make some changes and transformations in that business, changes for the better, letting go of things that just don't work for you anymore. You're like, no, I don't want to spend my time advertising this product. People don't seem to like this product. Let's get rid of it. Now let's move on. We got to move a little faster. I was supposed to be talking fast, guys. So the 8 of Cups as an overall vibe for this month, love to see it. The 8 of Cups is always on to bigger, better, more. It is about letting go of any emotional attachments to situations that aren't serving you, that don't feel good, that no longer fulfills you, that doesn't feel like, I don't connect to this energy anymore. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I don't want to stay in this place because this place hasn't made me feel good about myself. Ooh, there we go. I'm letting go. I'm stepping away from things, and I'm seeking something that is going to bring deeper fulfillment into my life. I'm going to make sure I'm living a life that brings me deep satisfaction. I want something more authentic to myself. I am growing when it comes to emotional maturity. I am honoring my feelings and my desires. I'm moving towards a path that is aligned with the kind of life that I want to live. I don't want to daydream about it because the 8 of Cups comes from that 7 of Cups, the daydream card. I don't want to daydream about it. I want to live it. And you're making sure that you're making steps, tangible steps, that you can live this life that you have been picturing in your head for so long. And I really do feel like you are changing so many things. The main thing is like your lifestyle, the way you approach your career, the way you approach your finances. Like, you're undergoing this huge transformation in the fall. And you're making sure that you are aligning yourself with situations, with possibilities, with outcomes that bring you a better life overall. You don't want to dive into something or accept something just because it's offered to you, or because you need it at the time, or because you feel like this is the best you can do. You're just like, none of this. I'm not doing this anymore. I pick partners who don't satisfy my emotional needs. Not anymore. I stay at a job that I dislike for the paycheck because I need the money, even though it drains me. Not anymore. I am making sure that I am choosing to participate in bad habits, like, maybe I eat a lot of junk food when I'm upset, and instead of just like sitting with my emotions and maybe talking to someone about it or going to therapy. Not anymore. This is you making these positive strides in your month, and it's going to lead you to feel a deep sense of fulfillment and happiness. I absolutely love this. You're taking the time to be honest with yourself. With Venus here, wow, talk about intense energy. You may feel a strong creative spark this month. Whenever I see Venusian people or Venus energy in general, it's very hardworking, makes a lot of huge strides, a lot of natural charisma that you can see when it comes to this. I feel as though when I look at this Venus placement, the focus becomes about enjoying your life and seeking pleasure. And there's a sense of thrill and fantasy and enjoyment and luxury. And I think that is the vibe for your fall. You're like, I'm aligning myself with that energy. I'm aligning myself with love, self-love, love in personal relationships, love of my job, love of my hobbies, love of my life. I'm going to ensure the love that I desire and need in my life is taking place. I want to make sure that I am catering to my desires, because Venus is that planet that's like, don't worry about it. It's not like Saturn, who wants to sometimes restrict desires and have boundaries around things. Venus is like, no, don't worry about it. Just go for it. Like, if you want to sit around on the beach for a month straight, go ahead and do it. If you want to go sailing across the ocean or take a random trip for 3 days to Paris, go ahead and do it. If you want to buy an expensive designer bag or cashmere sweater that costs $2,000, go ahead and do it. This month is like all about catering to those strong inherent desires that are within you. And especially when we have Venus and Death coming together, this can represent sort of like a glow up financially as well. I've just seen that with Venus, because this is like Venus in Scorpio or Venus in the 8th house. And so that can bring about strong financial abundance or opportunities for support through other people. So you're finally getting some more support that you desire and you needed. You may finally be hitting some sort of savings goals. Sometimes I get the 8th house for savings, but I mean, that's mainly 2nd house, but I have seen it for savings. And you might be hitting that goal, as we mentioned before up here. And I really do feel like you're making sure you're bringing about more love and happiness into your life. Because this life of this 6 of Pentacles reverse, you're done with it. You're not doing it anymore. You've packed it up. You've let it go. You're making sure that you have joy and fulfillment and happiness and connection. And it feels good for you. So that is all I want to say, pal number 1. Hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal or new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. And I really do feel like you're doing things that are making you happy, more like, you know, it could be, I give a lot of extravagant events, but it could be something like I'm going to the movies, I'm going ice skating, I'm going roller skating. Like I am going for a job. I am protesting for something regarding the environment, because Venus does connect heavily to like the environment and all of that. But it's all of those energies and all of those vibes. Like I'm making sure that if I want to save the planet and protect the trees, I'm going to do so. So I really see that. And I'm going to leave it there. If you want a private reading from me, don't forget to book a reading in the description. I don't know why I can't string words together right now, but don't forget to go to the link below in the description and book a reading. There we go. I also go live on the weekends, and feel free to vote on what type of reading you would like to see next on my channel in the community tab, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal number 2, let's get started on your fall 2025 reading. So we have the 7 of Pentacles for where you are, the 7 of Swords reversed for finances, the 2 of Pentacles reversed for career, the 4 of Cups upright for love, and we have the 3 of Swords for the overall vibe for the fall. And then we're going to pull a card for you. Let me get my Astro card here. We have Virgo, I analyze. And we also have our Astro dice, so we get a feel. Whoop, don't fall. We have Neptune in Aries in the 5th house. Wow, perfect. Because Neptune is in Aries now in Western astrology. All right. So, love it when we get things that are currently in the sky. So, Neptune in Aries in the 5th house. This is interesting because this is about transforming the way that you express yourself creatively. And because we have this 4 of Cups, and this represents love, of family, partnerships, and also things that you love to do in your free time, I read it as like the 5th house. It aligns perfectly with this message. To me, it feels like this fall, you're trying to reinvent or bring about, reimagine the way that you decide that you would like to enjoy your life, okay? It is about bringing those fantasies into reality, into your everyday. When you have Neptune in the 5th house, this can bring about a sense of wanting to have wonder, wanting to have beauty, wanting to have glamour, wanting to experience something that feels otherworldly when it comes to your free time, your creativity, when it comes to the connections that you make. It just feels like something that is like a soul tie, right? And so this month, it's about focusing on bringing energy into that, bringing life into that, because this is Aries, okay, right? Aries wants to push forward. Aries wants to create things. Aries is that spark. It's that fire. And so when we have that Neptune energy coming in here, it's like you're trying to bring about spark and fire into the areas of love, romance, like I said, things that you love to do on your free time, or just things that you love to do in general. You're trying to bring about a sense of magic into that area during this fall. And maybe even to some point you get to that area in your life. Like maybe you do get these moments that feel magical and like you're caught up in some mysterious whirlwind. Neptune's energy is very interesting because I have noticed it to be highly, highly ambitious. And so if you're someone who is creative, or if you have a business, because the fifth house can represent entrepreneurship, and it also represents skills and natural talents. Well, this is you bringing about those skills and natural talents to a world stage. Neptune, even though it's kind of like a hidden type of environment, it can rule secrecy and things along the lines of that, it likes to be at the forefront of people's minds. It's like this mystical figure that comes down and you don't know where they're coming from, but they need to be the center of the room a little bit just because of their beauty and their otherworldliness. If I'm making sense with that, like there's a secret aspect to Neptune, but Neptune likes to be seen. All right. I'm just going to be clear with that. And so when it comes to how you're spending your free time, maybe you're spending your time being seen, or putting yourself out there creatively, or trying new things, because Neptune wants to experiment and they want to create a sort of sense of uniqueness. So what this could mean is, like, maybe you're posting more on social media, maybe you're creating some sort of creative trend. Maybe you are inspired through some project to create something, whether you build furniture, whether you make movies, whether you edit things, whether you make clothing. You may not even have any of those skills. It could be anything from like singing, whatever the case may be, but you're investing more in things that you love to do, your talents, and you are thinking of unique and creative ways to express yourself. Uranus is not the only unique planet here. So I really do feel like that. And then also Neptune connects very strongly to ambitions. And so to me, when I see this can represent, like, if you have kids, you might be, in your tiger mom energy and just like saying, I want you to be the best at playing soccer or chess or getting straight A's, and you might be really pushing your kid in that way. Or this could be for your own, creative outlets where you're like, you know what, I'm going to do 50 push-ups in the gym. Like if you're a gym goer, you're a gym head, you're like, I'm going to challenge myself to do 100 push-ups 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, and you're challenging yourself in that way, because Neptune, like I said, it's that ambition, it's that fuel, and combined with Aries, it's a new invigoration, it's a fire inside of you that you're just like, I have to express this, I have to challenge myself in this area. So I really do see that coming. And obviously in terms of what you do in your free time, Neptune is very escapist, that could definitely represent lots of nights out, lots of, wine and drinks and, whatever, right? Things along the lines of that. This can also represent getting caught up in a whirlwind romance. Though I will say with the 4 of Cups there, not so sure about that. But, I'm just going to throw it out there just in case, since this is a general reading, right? So we do want to cover all bases. But I think it may be focusing more so on your passions. And I want to say this, when it comes to this pal, it doesn't necessarily always represent like every single aspect of like friends, family, creativity, connection, and things you love. Sometimes it's really honing in on one aspect, and that applies to all of the selections here, okay? Because they represent several things. I've just noticed that throughout the monthly reading, Spirit wants to communicate the things that are going to be the most important, that is like weighing on your mind the most. And so they're going to reach out and talk about that the most. So it could just mean that you have a very romantic, idealistic love life, that you are thrown into this whirlwind, beautiful romance with your Prince Charming or Princess Charming. And you could just be bored with, your hobbies. So I do want to say that. All right. So, but it can also represent some confusion within the romantic space, or even some confusion about what you want to do next or what inspires you. You could be trying to sort through that. In my experience, like when I've seen Neptune through the 5th house, it's more so leaning towards the inspiration part, especially in Aries. So it's really about focusing on new ways to bring about inspiration. And when you're not doing things that fuel your imagination or your creativity, then you're just going to be a little bored. Like, that's kind of like what I've seen, to be honest. Now, let me get into, also for education, because this also rules education, school could be kind of like, it could be a lot, okay? School can be a lot in terms of, you may find like the communication or the assignments that are being presented to you or assigned to you are just a little confusing, and maybe you don't have clear direction or guidance. But with Neptune in the 5th house in Aries, it still would indicate that you're likely going to do well, and you're going to think of a creative way to communicate your thoughts and ideas. So I just want to throw that out there. Neptune is all about making your wildest dreams and fantasies come true, especially within the 5th house. So anything that you love and adore and want to try, it's like, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's be, you know, the best, I don't know, 40-year-old ballet dancer who started at age 39 ever. You know, it's like this crazy, creative, crazy in a good way, guys. Crazy creative ambition. So that can be something that is happening here. Now let's move on to where you currently are. We have the 7 of Pentacles. So this is the African American Tarot deck, and I really love the imagery on these cards because it's so different from all of the rest. But I'm not going to get into that right now. We're just going to focus on the normal vibes of the 7 of Pentacles. And this person is walking on water. And so it may even feel like you have some opportunities to do some things that seem impossible, that Neptune energy again, and you're wondering how to approach it. So you're stepping into the fall with like, I can really invest my time in something that people are going to drop their jaws at when I tell them I'm doing this. Or maybe I can go in a different direction. You're really trying to assess your options here. And the thing that I've noticed about the 7 of Pentacles is it is not just about trying things for the first time. It's more so like, how can I continue to bring about success? How can I continue to bring good things within my life? How can I build upon my good habits? How can I build upon my routine? I really like it, but I feel like it's missing something. I want to try something a little bit different. I want to switch things up a bit. You know, it's growth mindset, okay? It's building towards something stable, something lasting. And so this month, you're entering, not this month, I might say this month, I'm used to the monthlies, guys, but this fall, you are considering all the ways that you can continue to grow and flourish within your life. Now, because we have 2 pentacles here, they're generally connected, pentacles and pentacles, cups and cups, wands and wands, swords and swords. Something tells me that you're looking to make some renovations within your career, work, or reputation, or goals space. And so maybe when we're looking at this cards, it's about reevaluating your goals, or maybe even the ways that you go about meeting them. And so you may have this on your mind as you move into the fall, and you're saying, you know what? I've had some successes. I've had some good jobs. I've had some good experiences, or maybe I've had some terrible jobs and terrible experiences, but I made it work. This time I want to step into a new direction so that I am making sure that I'm duplicating the positive things about my experiences in the past, or my goals that I have managed to reach within the past, and I want to continue to achieve them. So it could be something like that mindset, or even, like I said, if you have a routine, like let's say you just started a new diet, you're like, oh, I've already lost 15 pounds so far. I want to ensure that I am continue to build on my good habits, and I challenge myself to continue to keep up with this weight loss journey. You know, that's something that could be in mind, as that would be a goal connected to how you're reevaluating that, because as you continue to lose weight, you do have to continue to make adjustments. Like, that's just how it is. That's the name of the game. So and that's just the mindset. And even then it could just be like, well, I started this journey to lose weight, but now I'm thinking I kind of want to build muscle. Like I kind of want to have more defined muscle. So I don't want to do as much cardio. This is the type of things I'm talking about. And I'm just using these as examples. This does not have to apply to you in any way, shape, or form. This could apply to a totally different situation that has nothing to do with losing weight or a job or a goal or something along the lines of that. But it is the mindset that you're going into the month with. Now, with this 7 of Pentacles reversed here, and I love that we have 2 sevens, because sevens are a year, or a number, I should say, but 7 years as well. They apply to this. They are a number that represents reflection, which is why a lot of the sevens are like solo dolo, or, you know, the 7 of Wands is fighting everybody. The 7 of Pentacles is reflecting by themselves. The 7 of Swords is like running away, being sneaky, being clever. And then you have the 7 of Cups, similar to the 7 of Pentacles, looking at all their options and fantasizing and dreaming. But it's a card of thinking about things. It's a card of using your mental energy. And to me, it feels like for the fall, you're spending a lot of time contemplating about your decisions and the directions that you go in. You're extending a lot of mental energy in the fall. 100%, I have noticed when it comes to sevens, it can bring about a lot of different feedback from other people, and having to filter through that feedback and try to find your own voice. And when we have the 7 of Swords reversed, it's almost like you are shedding bad habits, because this is ruling your value system, your voice, your finances, as well as like family and things that you consume and digest. When we find it in this position reversed, it's almost like, hey, I'm undoing all of these bad habits. Like maybe I'm prone to jumping to conclusions, but I'm at a point in my life where I'm thinking about how I really feel like I align with valuing taking the time to reassess things. I'm taking the time to think about my value system, and to me it feels like right now I'm in a place where I'm learning to, what's the word? I'm hold on or carry or integrate. I'll say I'm learning to integrate accountability into my daily way of thinking or doing things, or how I decide to move in my life, because the second house can connect to that. And I'm reading this as the second house. This is Astro-Tarot, guys, right? I'm combining astrology and tarot. And so to me, it feels like you're being more honest with yourself when it comes to the fall. You are owning up to any behaviors that haven't necessarily been in your best interest, or, you know, we're all the villain in somebody's life, right? I'm sure that I've done things that have, I'm 100% sure I've done things that have offended people and that haven't been the best. Just like I'm sure this has happened for you. None of us are perfect. And so this month you're like, I'm holding myself accountable. I'm owning up to my weaknesses, and I'm no longer going to be dishonest with myself about any shortcomings, which I absolutely love this for you, because now this is applying towards your finances as well. Perhaps you have been making some choices that haven't necessarily been financially sound or stable. They haven't actually supported your goals and what you would like to accomplish. And so when we have the 7 of Swords reverse, you're acknowledging that. You're like, you know what? I actually do put too much on my credit card. I actually do buy things that I can't afford. I actually haven't taken the time to sit down and budget. You know, I'm facing things head on. I'm no longer avoiding looking at my bank account and looking at the numbers and just avoiding the reality of my situation. And you're also double checking for any mistakes or any mishaps when it comes to your finances as well. Because when we have the Seven of Swords reversed, it can almost be like I'm protecting myself against thieves. So this could be like putting a freeze on your credit. So I really feel as though when it comes to this month, it's like you're coming clean about your financial habits. And you're making adjustments and you're making changes and you're transforming yourself. And you're being honest with what you can afford, what you can spend, how you can reach your goals. You're deciding to realign yourself so that you're making sure that you build a solid future because you have the Seven of Pentacles mindset this month. And also, when it comes to like things that you ingest or your diet or whatever the case may be, the same sort of mindset can apply in this area where it's like, okay, no more sneak eating, no more snacking after midnight, no more skipping, like if you're on a diet, like tracking calories and saying, oh, this one doesn't count. And, you know, no, like saying, I'm not going to count that cheat meal because it was a holiday and, we all do this. Or a lot of us have done this, I should say, where we are ignoring the fact that we are not eating as clean as we could be, or we're consuming things that aren't generally the best for us. And we're sitting there like, oh, I don't know why I can't get results. And it's like, we all know why we're not getting results because we're not doing the work, right? Seven of Swords is somebody who doesn't want to do the work. So when they're inverse, they're like, yes, it's actually time for me to admit and say, it's time to do the work. It's time for me to read the labels, count the calories, etc., whatever. And the same thing can come with family. Maybe some truth comes out about family. You guys have an honest conversation about certain things that have hurt you. Maybe you hold yourself accountable. Maybe you hold someone else accountable in a situation. That can apply as well when it comes to the family dynamics for the fall, okay? It's about coming clean. When we're talking about the Two of Pentacles in its reverse position for your career, now this is very interesting because I've also gotten the Two of Pentacles to not necessarily represent like, it's not bad. Like it's more so like you're unloading yourself a little bit, or there's like a little bit less to juggle. So I feel as though like when I see the Two of Pentacles reverse, it's like having a little bit less work. Maybe you're used to juggling a lot at work, or there's different projects, assignments, customers, clienteles, phone calls, emails. Two of Pentacles reverse can be one or two things. One, there's just kind of like less of that. And so you're able to focus on one thing and concentrate. Or it could just mean that you've kind of thrown in the towel on it and said, I'm not even going to bother to juggle all this. Like I'm not answering all these emails and calls, and it's too much. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. I have so many different priorities. I can't stay organized. So there's two different directions this may go in for some of you. So if maybe 50% of you, it's more so I kind of have a little bit less work. Maybe for the other 50%, it's like I got so much work, I can't even handle all of this. Sometimes the Two of Pentacles reverse, it's like I'm taking on somebody else's job, which happens so much in corporations, right? Where somebody quits and then somebody has to take on the responsibilities of somebody else's job until they hire someone else. Or maybe in some companies, they don't even bother to hire someone else. They just make that person have that job. And so it can feel a little bit like that this month. This can also represent that you're someone who is maybe even considering, like if you have a side hustle, maybe slowing down on that. That can happen as well. This can represent that maybe you feel, maybe it's less about you, because sometimes I get this card in this position to represent the environment that you're in. And this can represent, wow, so many people are disorganized. I feel like my coworkers are really dropping the ball. Like I asked them for this piece of information, this report, this assignment, this thing, and they haven't provided it for me. I feel like there's no sense of prioritization within the workforce. Like we're jumping from this task to that task to that task. It doesn't make sense. You know, it just can represent a lot of disorganization coming within the work environment. And it may feel like the opportunities to grow and to succeed and to develop and, you know, make strides in your career just really aren't there, because when the Two of Pentacles is upright, they have plenty of things to do. They're looking towards the ocean. There's a ship behind them, and it can represent, oh wow, if I do this, I can go a little bit further and expand myself. Versus when it's reversed, it's like, what is this even leading to? What am I gaining from this? Like, what, why am I putting in this work? It doesn't feel like this is any skill set that I can add to my resume to build, to grow in myself professionally. It's like a going nowhere fast type of energy with the Two of Pentacles reversed. And so the job environment can feel that way, or you can sort of feel that way about work, or even certain goals that can be at play. It really just depends. And then also when we have the Two of Pentacles, this can represent that you are thinking about reprioritizing your goals. You're thinking about learning how to shed any sort of dead weight that you have been holding on to, any processes, any ways that you've been approaching things, anything that you are thinking, oh, I want to accomplish this. You might sit down and say, do I really want to do this? Or is this just some goal I've made for myself because I thought it'd be really cool to do? Does this really have any value to me? And you might shed the dead weight for that. Like sometimes people, like they might have a family, like let's say someone in your family sews or something like that. And you're like, oh my goodness, my aunt is passing and she was the only one left in our family who knew how to sew. And you're like, oh man, I got to learn how to sew so that I can carry on the family, I don't know, sewing legacy or whatever. And this sounds silly, but I'm just trying to give an example. And then you sit and you think about it and you're just like, I don't even want to learn how to sew. Like, I don't care about sewing at all. This is not something that is a strong desire within my life. And you reprioritize it, you shed the dead weight, and you're saying, nah, I don't even want to have this on my mind because I want to focus on the things that matter to me. So that is something I want to say. Also, the Two of Pentacles upright can represent things being like you're wearing many hats and doing many things. And so when it is reversed, it can also be about trying to create stability. And that's something that could be possible for you during the fall. Let's move on because I've been talking too long. I'm supposed to be going faster. The Four of Cups, we kind of already mentioned this a little bit when it comes to love. This can represent like you feel like you don't have enough good options. That's what it generally comes up for as me as a reader. Four of Cups is just like, there's nobody around me I really vibe with. I mean, I might have some people who are interested in me, but I'm not really interested in them back. And I'm specifically talking to the singles. Within a relationship, can represent one of two things. One, you guys go on a vacation together. It's really cool. Two, this can represent like feeling a little bit like neglected by your partner, like you're not feeling emotionally satisfied within the relationship. You feel as though you're not receiving the emotional support or care or attention that you need within the relationship. And it's almost feeling like this person is giving you breadcrumbs. And it can be like that with dating as well, where you're like, this person is ghosting me. This person is not even responding to my messages, or they respond every 3 days or every 5 business days. It's like this person doesn't seem to be as into this interaction as I am, or vice versa. You know, you could be doing that. You could be like, you know, responding to someone every couple of days, and it's just like you're not really interested in that person and you don't really mesh with them like that, but you're just like, I want to give that person a chance. I'm in the dating scene. Maybe I should, you know, try dating this person. They're not my normal type, but I'll give it a try. Like, it's that sort of vibe with the Four of Cups. And that's probably what it feels like this fall. Not for everyone. Like I said, it changes depending on the area, because like I said, this could be like Four of Cups for family. You know, maybe you're not spending a lot of time for family this month, but maybe your love life is booming, right? But let's read it as family since we're there already. The Four of Cups, when it comes to family, pretty similar, family and friends for relationships, where you might even feel like it's not necessarily that your friends are boring you, but you might be bored of the same routine. Like, let's say you and your friends always go out for like brunch or to eat things or meals or whatever. And you're like, oh, I'm tired of just like sitting down and meeting and eating. You know, I want to go do something fun. Like, I want to go ahead and go fencing. I want to go rock climbing. Like, let's do something different. Like, it's that type of vibe when it comes to your interactions with family and friends. Like, you want to switch things up, and you may feel like things are just too stagnant. You know, you want some thrill, you want some excitement. And it also can just feel like nobody has any drama or tea this month. Everything is very much like at a very much like limbo baseline. Nothing wow's going on. No crazy stories to catch up on. Everybody is just like working and grinding away. And, you know, it just feels like things are just kind of normal. So that's just the vibe when it comes to like friends and family as well. And then sometimes this can also represent feeling a little bit neglected by friends and family. Maybe you don't feel like you have that level of support. And then, as I said, Four of Cups with your free time, you might even be just spending some time by yourself. I often get the Four of Cups to be that very reflective energy, and saying, hey, I just need to recline by myself. Maybe you need to step into your own space to build your own creative world. You're doing that reimagining, that creative space going on, that deep reflection. Because Neptune in the 5th house, which is something I should have said before, can represent that you're spending your time meditating. You're spending your time in deep thought. And so that is very much in line with the Four of Cups. So this fall, you're really just focusing on like, I just need to go inward, and I need to think about where I want to move next so I can bring some more excitement and fun and thrill into my life, right? You're like, I want something that is going to bring me deep emotional satisfaction. And you're trying to figure out what that is. With the Three of Swords as the overall feel of this month, Three of Swords can be a feeling where, like I said, you can feel a little bit heartbroken. Maybe you're going through a breakup. Maybe you're going through a separation, whether that is a romantic breakup, friendship breakup, job breakup, school breakup. You know, like sometimes you leave college and then you're like, oh, wow, I'm out in the real world and I don't have that same structure. So it's, you know, that type of breakup. Whatever the case may be, the feeling of this season may be a little gloomy. Sometimes though, I get the Three of Swords to represent just feeling a bit disappointed or even a little bit lonely. It's not necessarily this deep, stressful, crying my heart out type of feeling. It's just a little bit dissatisfied and a little sad, you know, a little gloomy. That is what I can see. But I'm not here to say that you're just going to have an overall gloomy fall. I don't believe that. I do believe that you are going to have some inspiring moments, that you're going to have some breakthroughs in terms of creativity, in terms of expressing yourself, some very unique experiences. I do feel that that is coming for you. But I feel like this fall is more of a transition period in your life, about restructuring, especially when it comes to your goals, especially when it comes to your finances, and even your free time and what you love to do. I feel like you're in this space where you're undergoing so many different renovations. And because you're going through all of these changes, you're like, this is a little tough. You know, I've got to break through so many different habits, you know. I've got to really readjust and realign myself and switch my value systems. And this is not easy work, right? With this Virgo analyze here, obviously Virgo is the house of work, and you're putting in that work this month. It is also a house that can represent, you know, conflicts and jobs and honestly your daily routine as well. And so you're going through so many different transformations within your daily life, within your routine, within your work. And it feels like, at least I get the feeling that it, to some degree, it feels like you're stepping into a new environment. And it's not like this crazy sudden change. To me, these cards feel gradual, because to me it shows like, okay, I've been stuck in this place for so long and we're going through these shifts, and I don't think I'm totally in line with all of the shifts in my environment. So now I have to decide what it is that I do align with. And I think we all go through these periods where we have so many changes around us and we might be dissatisfied with the changes. And so now we have to shift to a change or an environment that we like, that feels like it aligns with us. Like you can be undergoing some different structures within the neighborhood. Maybe your neighborhood is changing. Maybe there's a lot of different shops and buildings and businesses being built. And you're just like, oh man, we used to be a little bit more of a quiet community. I don't think I align with this more busy community. Let me go find a place that truly aligns with who I am. And so that is kind of like the overall vibe of this month. And as I mentioned with Virgo, there's a lot of themes of health. So a lot of you could be working on improving your health, which I can definitely see that with the Seven of Swords reverse. You're making some improvements when it comes to your environment at work and trying to up level, or similar with goals. You're trying to make sure that you actually are making strides and moves towards them. You are cutting off that dead weight like I talked about. And not only that, but you could be resolving some conflicts, particularly when it comes to family or even people who feel like family. So that is something to be highlighted when it comes to Virgo. Virgo is very much a hustler. You know, that is the ultimate like hustler card of, I got to get mine. I feel like Virgo's a rapper, you know, and I think you're in this spirit of overcoming the struggles and making sure that nothing is stopping you from hitting the success that you deserve and living the life that you deserve. And so that is what I have for you, pal. Number 2, let me know how you feel about the reading. Sorry it's not like all beauty and wonderful, but you do have some great moments coming in. And if you want a private reading from me, don't forget to book a reading below. Just fill out the form and I'll get back to you. I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Time to post on the community tab. And also on that community tab, you can vote on readings that are going to be happening next. I also ask you guys on your opinions on different questions and thoughts and all of that jazz. You can also follow me on my social medias. I have one, dedicated to my Astro-Tarot. And then also, if you want to get to know me on a personal level, you can click on that other TikTok where I vlog and stuff. But that is all I have, and I will see you next time. I'm wishing you the best fall in the world, and I hope you are able to transform your reality like it seems like you're trying to do. So, au revoir. Hey, pal, number 3, let's get started on your fall 2025. We have the Queen of Pentacles for where you are. We have the 8 of Cups for finances. We have the Sun when it comes to career. We have the Queen of Pentacles again, okay, when it comes to love. And we have the 6 of Wands as an overall vibe for this month. And then we also have our astrology cards, which, let me pull one for you guys. I'm just going to shuffle really quick. Ooh, okay, that one wanted to come out. We have the 11th house, friends. And we're also going to roll our Astro dice. We're moving through this, guys. We got to move quicker this time. I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter because I know some of you prefer a shorter read. All right, we have the 7th house with Capricorn and Sun. So Sun in the 7th house in Capricorn. That's an interesting one, because sometimes I get Sun in the 7th house to just represent having a strong focus on relationships. It can represent encountering some people who are a little bit more, what's the word? self-obsessed, like they're sort of like more so thinking about themselves. But at the same time, when you have Sun in the 7th house, what I have found is that it can represent that you might be receiving some sort of, what's the word, recognition in a way, because the Sun is this bright shining star, and we got it twice here. So we got it for career, and then this 7th house can also be a career house. So it's like a double confirmation that you may be receiving some sort of recognition in the fall for some accomplishment that you have done within your career, or maybe you're graduating, or maybe you finished a course, or maybe you've received some title, some recognition, because when we get 11th house deals with titles and recognitions as well. 10th house as well. All right, both of those houses can deal with that. But it may be saying in this fall, this is what's happening for you, and it's something to celebrate, something to be happy about, something that's good, something that you like to occur is occurring in that area. One thing that I will say when it comes to the Sun in the 7th house, because the Sun is kind of a little bit, like I said, half malefic, it can represent, oh, I'm experiencing some frustrations in this area. It's not as bad as like Sun in the 4th house, because Sun really doesn't like being in the 4th house. But it's just like, man, some people are just like really frustrating. Not as bad as Mars though. If this had been Mars in the 7th house, I would have said, ooh, you know what? You're beefing. You're beefing hard with people, you know, with that type of energy. But since it's Sun in the 7th, it's like, okay, yeah, there's some beefs here, but there's like something about it not being long lasting. And the reason I say that is because the Sun represents like a new dawn, a new day, a new energy coming through. It's not something that is there to last, okay? It's representing of a new transformation, entering a new avenue, a new place of being, new. And so when it comes to the 7th house, this can represent, hey, like I am creating new relationships. I am forming bonds with new people. I am, you know, expunging certain people out of my life. You know, that can be the vibes of Sun in the 7th house in Capricorn. But the focus here definitely becomes on a lot of career ambitions, especially since we have it in this 7th house. I do want you to be aware of that. This is you saying, hey, I'm going to take charge to maybe even go in a new direction when it comes to my job, when it comes to my career. I'm making strides. I'm going, taking a risk. I'm taking a chance. I'm making bold moves. I'm stepping into a position of leadership because Sun in Capricorn naturally rules leadership. And yeah, it might be hard because that Capricorn goat is climbing up that mountain, but they're built for it, right? And so it feels like, okay, bring it on. This may be tough, but bring it on. That's the type of energy that you are facing when it comes to this year. And I'm trying to think of the energy that I really want to focus on when it comes to this Sun in the 7th house. For me, when I think about Sun in the 7th house energy, it really is about pushing back against people who are not providing you the support you need within a relationship. So I've noticed the Sun reminds me a little bit of Saturn in the sense that they come to collect. Whatever it is that someone owes you, with Sun in the 7th house, it's like you're collecting on that debt. You're collecting on that energy this month. They owe you an apology. You're going to say, hey, I'm not doing this because you owe me an apology, right? Or if there is some sort of dispute, this is like, hey, I'm going to make sure that this gets resolved in my favor, or that I receive what is owed to me. And it could be what is owed to you through other people, what is owed to you through a job, what is owed to you through whatever the case may be, you know. But it's implying that you have come to collect this month something from other people. It's just what I've noticed. And this also brings about a lot of conversation, collaboration, not necessarily always meeting new people, but it can be, because like I said, the sun ruled energy is like new dawn, new day, new energy. And lastly, the 7th house is the furthest away from yourself. So when you have that sun in Capricorn, and you know, Capricorn naturally rules distance, this can mean, oh, my father's traveling away, or I'm actually moving. It can represent distance from some sort of fatherly figure, or just you yourself taking a trip. There we go. Let's move on because we've been talking too much. We have the Queen of Pentacles representing where you are, how you're entering the fall. You are entering the fall as someone who is catering to yourself. I get the Queen of Pentacles quite a lot. She's probably maybe like one of my deck cards who represents me. And the Queen of Pentacles, if I were to describe her energy, is she's always looking to take care of herself, and she likes stability. She likes a sense of security. She likes her comfort. She likes her luxuries. It's all about feeling comfortable and feeling safe and feeling secure. The Queen of Pentacles is focusing on her mental health. She's making sure that she has a balanced diet. She's making sure she's going for those walks. She's listening to music. She's doing yoga. She's working on her mental and physical health. Okay, I want to say that. And she's thinking about, like, how can I make sure that I am continuing to live my life to the fullest? And if I'm not living it that way now, then I want to grow in that direction. And I want to make sure that that happens for me, because I think that I deserve all of the wonderful things in the world. And that's that Queen of Pentacles mindset. And so you're entering in the month ensuring that you are going to step away from any energy that is not aligning with this sense of comfort, with the sense of stability. And I love that we also got that Saturn in Capricorn, another earth-ruled sign, right? And we know Capricorns, they're super ambitious. People say they love working. They don't love working. They love making money. And that might even be you. You're like, I love making money. I love being independent. I love getting the things that I want. I love living the lifestyle that I want. I love being able to buy the quality of clothing, hair products, whatever that I want. Like, that's the mindset that you're kind of in. And you're making sure that you continue to grow in that direction. So I really feel like this is a positive energy that you're coming into the month with. When we have this 8 of Cups, I feel as though with finances, especially since we got this Queen of Pentacles, it puts me in the mindset of where you are. You're looking to improve. You're looking to go to a better place. You're looking to evolve when it comes to finances. You're not here to stay stuck on detrimental patterns or situations that don't serve you. You're here to grow. That's why I love seeing this 8 of Cups when it comes to finances, because the 8 of Cups is like, okay, I have been receiving this amount of pay. That's not good enough anymore. I'm moving on to something else. Or I have one avenue of income. Well, maybe I need to create more pipelines and more streams when it comes to making income. So I'm going to get a second job, or I'm going to invest in something, or I'm going to go into real estate, whatever. You're building a second stream. It's like, I'm improving things this month. This month you are leaving things behind. And I remember one time I got the 8 of Cups for someone, and when it came to finances, and they had gone from a job environment that wasn't paying them as much, that wasn't respecting their boundaries, that wasn't supportive, to an environment that was way more supportive, had greater boundaries, and paid them way more, more everything, more respect. And that happened with that 8 of Cups. They were leaving behind that energy. And so even if it does not happen this month, just know that you are heading in that direction, where it's going to be an improvement and a betterment of finances. You're moving towards that 9 of Cups energy, where things are like a dream come true. But right now you're in the transition period. Transition's not bad, but it's something we all have to go through. You have to go through this space in order to get to that next level. And that's what's going to be happening. So I really do think that this is great. This is wonderful. I am happy to see this for you. Also, when it comes to the self-esteem is growing, self-esteem is getting better. Cups are kind of interesting, as I've mentioned a billion times when it comes to self-esteem. They can be very fluctuating, but with the Eight of Cups, because it's about saying goodbye and it's about moving to a better place and it's about sometimes deep research, which I'll get into that in a second. It's about moving on to a better place, etc. Well, this can just mean that, hey, you're leaving some habits behind, maybe even just mental habits, right? That you might be talking to yourself internally in some type of way, or might be criticizing yourself and you're just like, I'm leaving that behind this month. You know, or you're getting better at it. You know, you're good at catching yourself doing it. You're like, oh, wait, I'm having a thought that is very detrimental to myself. Why am I judging myself in that way? Why am I being harsh? And you're catching yourself doing it, and it's allowing you to free up some mental space and have some clarity and have a little bit more peace, okay? Also, when it comes to second house, you know, it has to do with using your voice. And so I like this a little bit because I like it a lot because it represents, like, you know what you're talking about, right? Because the Eight of Cups is like deep reflection, deep research. And so it's like, I think before I speak. And so that you'll be doing that a lot more this month. And the last thing that I wanted to say in regards to research, because I read this as the second house and things that you put in your body and consume, etc. It can represent that you're looking a lot more deeply into the things that you consume. So you might be reading the labels more. You might be researching what is on this food item. What is this Xana Gom, blah, blah. You know how they have those weird labels with all these different titles and names on the back of like drinks and food and whatever. So now you're looking these things up, and that can be part of your journey this month. And it can cause you to have better eating habits or just improved eating habits. Let's go to career here. So we got this double sun energy when it comes to career, right? We got sun in Capricorn. Capricorn is like the ultimate career house. We got the sun in your career house once again. So something is a little bit of a glow up in this area of career. Like, I love to see it because even though the sun can sometimes represent things that are just frustrating and tough to deal with, because it can represent overstimulation, it can represent, you know, anger in a way. One thing that it does also represent is it represents being seen. It represents being visible, being recognized. And we have a double confirmation of you being recognized at your job, or maybe your side job, or within the world in general, because this represents career, work, and reputation, right? And so you're being seen by other, you are performing in a leadership role, even if you're not receiving that acknowledgement at work, because sometimes I'll get this position to represent somebody being recognized at one job, but maybe not the other. Like if you have your own business or side gig, you might be recognized in a side gig and not at work. But you know, the cards, this is a general reading, guys. Like this is what the cards are saying, but it does indicate that you are being seen. You are being provided opportunities for leadership. People are looking at you and they are recognizing your intelligence. This can also show that you are teaching others, because the sun can represent teaching, learning, education. Like I said, we got it twice. And it's very clear that no matter what you do, you're going to provide those strong results. I also like to see this card because if you're not already an entrepreneur, if you're not already in that direction, this definitely represents being your own boss, right? This is definitely all of that energy. Also with sun in the 7th house, this can bring about more clients, okay? I want to say that. I remember 1 year I got sun in the 7th house. I had way more clients that year. It was a pretty good, well, it was like that, not the year. It was like that month. There we go. And you know, if you're in your own business, clients fluctuate. Like that's a part of the thing when it comes to social media, when it comes to art, when it comes to any sort of entrepreneurial avenue, your sales are going to fluctuate. And so a sun in the 7th house is generally going to be good for like sales. So if you're in your own sort of entrepreneur thing, you might have some more sales this month, right? Just want to throw that out there. That's very specific. But overall, this can represent also embodying a new experience. I've seen the Sun card to represent having a lot of fears, maybe even some anxieties, but at the end of the day, it works out. So something tells me that even though there is a lot of things going on, especially with the Sun and the 10th house career space energy going on here twice, it works out in your favor, okay? I do want to say that. There may be some, like, you know, sighing moments, and there may be some moments of high energy, but ultimately, this is growth. This is everything aligning as it should align, and I think getting what you want. I don't generally get the Sun card to represent at the end of the day it doesn't work out. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen it that way. Even if it doesn't work out, it's like a good lesson learned. So that is something that I see within this month. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to be easy and you're not going to be frustrated at times and people aren't going to get on your nerves. But, you know, overall, you're being seen as somebody who is a leader, who naturally brings warmth, who is encouraging to others, who is positive. If you saw my Black Beauty study, I talk about sun-ruled women, and one thing that I see them consistently do is they're known for being great listeners and being able to sort of like take on the problems of others, and they're always looking to help other people out. And generally people will appreciate that about them, that they're lending this helping hand. And so I feel like that is part of your journey this month, that people are just like, oh, wow, thank you for helping me with that. And, you know, I really appreciate you listening. And, you know, I really enjoyed this conversation. You may not even notice it so much because often when I get the Queen of Pentacles, and this Sun card is technically a little bit mushed in between these Queen of Pentacles, she's a little bit more self-focused. Not to say she doesn't look after other people, she does, but she really wants to take care of herself. All right, let's move on. Try to make these shorter. We have the Queen of Pentacles again for love. Queen of Pentacles twice in the spread is so lovely. And as I've mentioned before, generally when I get the Queen of Pentacles, there are several cards I notice. Like the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles, they don't get approached as much as maybe the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups. Just in my experience as a tarot reader, okay? It may be something different for anybody else, or it may just be the way the cards are choosing to communicate with me, right? So I have noticed that when I see the Queen of Pentacles come up for love, people may find you a little bit more intimidating, okay? And I don't mean in the sense that, oh, you scare me. It's more so I'm nervous to talk to you. And I feel like when I see these combination of cards here when it comes to love, you may have more admirers, but they may be from afar. And we look at this Queen of Pentacles because how the cards follow each other and how the cards are connected matter. So the Queen of Pentacles is right in between the Six of Wands and the Sun card. And then right above her is another Queen of Pentacles. And so what this says is you're likely being perceived as someone who is very attractive, who is very beautiful, who is very accomplished, who is grounded, who's down to earth. She's got a little pie here, very cutesy. Like they're like, oh wow, this person can cook. They're very cute. They're hardworking. They seem solid. They have great discernment. This person makes me a little nervous, right? Because they have so many good qualities, and it makes me feel like, oh, I don't know if I can approach this person. This Six of Wands energy is somebody who is, I guess you could say, seen as a prize or seen as like some, you know, the it girl, it guy to be with or whatever. And I feel as though because of that, I do not believe if you're single, you're going to be approached that much this month. I just don't believe it. Okay? I think people are going to be looking at you from afar. I think it's going to be some admiration. I think they're just going to say, wow, that person's really handsome. That person's really beautiful. They have such a great smile. I really like their style. There's going to be a lot of that, but from the distance. I don't see like them engaging with you as much romantically. Now, unless they have that, you know, King of Pentacles swagger, you know, they're coming with it, then that is a little bit different. But just keep in mind that kings and queens are rare, okay? Keep in mind that they represent people who are not the norm. And so when I see this, you're not going to be approached by everyday normal like people, okay? You're more than likely, if you are being approached, you're more than likely going to receive like a compliment, maybe a light flirtation, but they're not going to really go all out, because most people will feel like, oh, this person is completely out of my league. One thing I also want to say about this Eight of Cups, because I read this as a second house in astrology, I often get the Eight of Cups when it comes to beauty to be someone who is almost in a way like untouchable. Like they seem like someone who could bag someone else in a heartbeat. And since the second house rules your face, I feel like this fall, I don't know, something about your facial beauty is really shining, okay? I just want that to be sure. So people are finding particularly your facial beauty to be very, very attractive during the fall. All right, maybe you've been moisturizing, maybe you've been maybe you've been doing, what is those things when you take that it's not marble, is it? It's like, it's not glass either. It's like you sculpt your face with it. If I have one of those things, one of those roller things in my room. Maybe you're doing a lot of that, you know, going on. So I don't know. But I just want to say that when it comes to love, and if you are already in a relationship, you're comfy. You love it here. You know, it's nice. You're enjoying your relationship this month. Don't get me wrong. That sun in the 7th house is going to bring a little bit of irritation, but it's not bad. You know, you feel happy, you feel warm, you feel comfortable, you're having a good time, and you feel like you are surrounded by people who make you excited, who are thrilling. You have a great partner, you're enjoying it. And also this card placement also connects to family, friends, and, you know, creative things, or how you like to have fun. You're in your element this month. And I like that because it shows that you're starting the fall. I'm saying this month, but it's the fall. You're starting the fall in your element, and you are continuing to do the things that you want to do. I often get the Queen of Pentacles for me to be like working on my tarot channel or an astrology channel, and, you know, typing away on some book I want to write, and it's just like I'm doing the things that I want to do. And I've seen this represented for other people as well. The Queen of Pentacles is just like, I want to vibe, I want to do my own thing, I want to express myself, I want to bake some cookies, like I want to go for a walk, I want to go for a run, I want to, you know, braid my hair, I want to get my nails done. It's very much like I'm doing the things that I want to do to enjoy my life, right? And so that is the energy that you're coming with when it comes to the Queen of Pentacles and having fun this month. You're going to have plenty of fun. It's going to be a great time, and you're going to be very relaxed. I always get the Pentacles to represent just a lot of relaxation, not too much high energy. It's exciting, but not in the way that is like, oh, it's making my heart race out of my chest. It's more like, oh, this is exciting because I've enjoyed it, you know, and I like having a moment to myself where I get to do my thing. To summarize, if you're in a relationship, really great, really fantastic this month. Lots of support, lots of love. Same with friends and family. Lots of support, lots of love, very calm, very chill hangouts. You know, you might be gathering for some meals or something nice, okay? I really do feel like this is just a good time here. If you're single looking for love, like I said, you're going to be a little bit more intimidating. You are looking very good, you know, and people are going to be slow to approach you, right? Okay, I want to say that. And also we have the Six of Wands to represent like a sense of victory and the overall vibes of the month, right? So the Six of Wands, we already know, is just like, I've accomplished something, I've gotten what I want, I've achieved victory. And it just goes back to that feeling of accomplishment that we're carrying with us for this entire fall with the Sun card energy. And I've already mentioned feeling accomplished within your career, but you might just feel accomplished overall for the fall. You might just feel like this has been my season, this has been my vibe, this has been my niche. I think I got the Six of Wands last week to represent like finally getting what I want. And it took a while, guys. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but it took a while to get, months, and I got what I wanted. Took a lot of skill on my part, but it was done. And I feel, see, that sense of pride I had in my voice, that is going to be you this fall. There's going to be a sense of pride in what you have accomplished. You may feel like it's been such a long time coming. It's been such a struggle. It's been such a fight. Remember, that Six of Wands comes from a place of the Five of Wands, constant fighting, constant struggle, blood, sweat, and tears. And then you finally get to this place where you're like, oh, thank God, I finally got it. Like I finally got what I wanted. And that's how this feels this fall. This energy of, I finally got what I wanted. It was worth the fight. It was worth the struggle. And I no longer have to be in this, mentally heavy space. Now, I do want to get into the 11th house. The 11th house is very interesting. The 11th house, people do connect with friends, but I really do feel like your friendships are being very supportive this month. I don't really see anything particularly there that would be concerning. If anything, maybe some good things are happening for your friends this month, and that is quite possible. Maybe you make new friends. It's possible. We do have the Sun in the 7th house, and that can represent new partnerships coming in. So there's that. I have noticed, from what I have seen personally, the 11th house really does connect a lot to, if you're into investing, gains in the market. It connects a lot to hopes, wish, ambitions, and income, and just general. Second house can rule those income, and the 11th house can rule your income as well. So if you have something like, we can read this as Sun in the 11th house here because that's the energy, then this is like, hey, I'm focusing on bringing in new income. As I mentioned before with the Eight of Cups, I'm focusing on trying to think, gaining some sort of leadership position or recognition to my name. I am looking to explore different avenues. Sometimes the 11th house can represent a little bit of like travel in a way, just because it's like the masses, and obviously the masses connect globally. So I have seen that. But I don't feel strong travel vibes for the fall. If it is, it's, like I said, it's going to be one bigger trip, okay? I want to say that. I mean, here kind of there's some travel with the Sun in the 7th, and the Sun in the 11th. But the Sun's not in these signs or houses for very long. I want to say that. So that's why I said it's like might be a big quick trip. Big quick trip is what I see. The thing that I've noticed, like when it comes to 11th house, is it can represent like having some sort of big dream come true. So not sure what that dream is, but it does seem like something, once again, having to do with recognition, having to do with getting your accolades and getting applause and being recognized, and maybe even some sort of opportunity, job, career, work-wise, that could be coming in. Money-wise as well, as they call it, the big money house. That along with the 8th house, so that is quite possible, 100%. This can also represent growing in social media, expanding in social media. Remember having Sun in the 11th house, and I believe I was, working on expanding or editing my social media at the time. Though I think like Mars does a really good job at expanding it better. But, Sun in the 11th house and the 7th house can definitely represent like expanding your reach in social media and writing. 100%. Like, I've seen people who've had sun in the 11th, 7th house, and they were like writers, journalists, things along the lines of that. So that can definitely bring about a huger, bigger social reach and platform. So that is what I have for you guys when it comes to what's happening. Some dreams come true, some happiness inside, some relief from some frustrations going on here. And I feel like you're moving on to a different stage. And you're getting to a place in your life this fall where you're very comfortable. So I'm going to end it there, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 4. Let's get started on your fall 2025. We have the Hangman. We have the Four of Wands. We have the Hierophant. We have the Emperor reversed for love. And we have the Ten of Cups for an overall feel. And let's pull your Astro card. We have the first house, the body. Oh, wasn't expecting that. And then let's do this Astro dice. All right. We have Uranus in Libra in the 4th house. All right. So Uranus in Libra in the 4th house. Let's start with Uranus and Libra. So Uranus, I don't know what word I'm saying. Uranus and Libra. Well, this combination can bring about obviously a lot of changes and disruptions within relationships. One thing that I've seen about this as well is it can bring about more spiritual or alternative people into your life, or just have people like, let's say someone from childhood, and I'm saying this because it's 4th house, they might come back into your life and you're like, oh, they're very much into spirituality and the otherworldliness and tarot and looking at patterns and signs similar to me, you know, very alternative with that Uranus energy. And so you might be meeting more people like this during the fall. This can also bring about some changes and transformations when it comes to your home life. Especially since we have the Four of Wands in the 2nd house, I'll say. I'm reading this from an astrological perspective. So this rules finances, what you consume and put into your body, your face technically, and your family, and also, you know, like, I guess savings, but that goes to finances. And so this can bring about renovations within your home. And the reason I pointed to this is because you might be spending money on home improvements or changes, or like maybe you're buying new curtains or something like that, but you may just want to, you know, spruce up your home life or your apartment or whatever the case, your space in some sort of way during the fall. Maybe you're bored of it. Maybe you want some change. Maybe you want some information. Maybe you've been inspired by some things you saw on TikTok and you're like, I really like that. That seems useful. I want that in my home as well. All right. Sometimes TikTok shop gets us. So I really do see a lot of changes and transformations and switch up when it comes to your relationships, the people you're meeting, and within your home. Also, when it comes to this Uranus and Libra feel, this can definitely bring about some people into your life who have a very, not just alternative way of thinking, but almost like a genius way of thinking. They do things in a way that is not necessarily the norm, or they're very independent. I know when I've seen Uranus in the 7th house, sometimes people end up working with like lawyers or coaches or therapists or counselors who own their own business, because Uranus represents independence. And so it's not necessarily like I'm meeting some wild out there person. Not that that's bad, but sometimes it's just like, hey, ooh, I'm hitting the table. Sometimes it's like I'm meeting someone who is very independent, who does their own thing, and who has their own business. Because technically being an entrepreneur, though it is gaining traction, is not the norm. So there we go. So I really do see that is happening for you. If we look at the vibes of Uranus and Libra in the 4th house, now this is, I have found to be a roller coaster of emotion. Sometimes Uranus in the 4th house can bring about a little bit of anxiety. And I want to touch on that because we have the Hangman here. And I often get the Hangman to connect to anxiety in a way, because there's this feeling of anticipation and wait and wanting to move forward, but you can't, and you're just stuck in one place and you're in this limbo and you don't know what's going to happen next. And that's how the Hangman can feel. And you might be going through the fall or stepping into the fall with this energy. And to some degree, maybe there are moments in the fall that are like that. And so we need to touch on that. With this Uranus in the 4th house, obviously this can represent moving, especially since we have this 4 of Wands in the 2nd house sort of like position. That can represent, hey, I'm buying a new apartment, I'm buying a new condo, because on the card here we have people getting married. That represents a milestone within your life. So it wouldn't be surprising if you move to another location or a place, because that would be a milestone, right? Especially if you're like first time getting your own apartment, first time buying your own house or townhouse or condo. These are milestones. So you might even be hitting, some of you, these milestones this month. Some changes, some transformations, all of these different things. I have noticed, Uranus in the 4th house can bring about a lot of innovation of thought and make you be a person, well, maybe I shouldn't make you, but like more so it's like hinting at the fact that the way you're thinking is a little bit off the grid. And it's not necessarily bad, because this can bring a lot of inspiration. This can bring a lot of truth. This can bring a lot of transformation in your thoughts. And you might even question certain normatives or structures. And it's interesting that we have this Hierophant there, the card that rules structure. I've noticed the Hierophant okay, let me go in order. But no, let me say this first. I noticed that the Hierophant, when it comes to structure and the work position, 10th house position, however you like to call this, goals, career, how you're seeing titles, I noticed that it just brings about a very traditional structure within your environment. Like you report to a supervisor, that supervisor has a supervisor, and then that person has a boss. And it's like this very linear structure versus working more so in an environment that is a little bit more autonomous, meaning you work in teams and there's no real sort of like leader. You might have someone to help guide you, but there's not this sense of like, you report to me and this is what you answer to. And so it may feel like work is just very rigid this month and very structured. And that can be good to some degree, but sometimes it can stifle innovation in a way, right? Where you might be in a work environment where they don't want to experiment with AI. They don't want to, invest in their employees' upskilling or education. They might feel like, hey, that's something you should take care of on your own, which is a very traditional way to navigate things in a sense, versus a more, I guess, innovative way or a more modern way might be like, hey, we have a more flexible schedule. You can work from home. If we offer like a $2,000 stipend for you to be educated and take courses, and we encourage that from our employees, and we have groups and teams what you can join where we're experimenting with, AI, or we're learning about different courses and things within our industry to push ourselves forward. So that is the difference between those type of energies, and work may feel like that this month, where it's very, predictable, rigid, structured, etc. But let's go back to this Hangman feel. So you're stepping into the month with this Hangman energy. So very reflective, very much this period of like, all right, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for a move. I'm ready to go to that next step. But it feels like there's something there, some sort of maybe lesson or some sort of catalyst needs to come into place so that you can take the steps to move forward. I feel like you're ready to leap into your next chapter, but it's almost like there are a few maybe loose ends or certain things that need to come to pass, or you're waiting on someone or a situation to change before you can be guided into that next step. And it becomes more clear to me that you're ready for this new chapter, especially since we're looking at the 10 of Cups. And we're also looking at the 1st house here, because the 1st house follows the 12th house. 12th house is Hangman. So we're beginning the spread with the Hangman 12th house energy, and we're ending with the 1st house. So through the fall, you're slowly going into your new chapter, into a new phase within your life. And you're starting something fresh and you're starting something new. So I really love to see this energy come forward to be happening for you. This can also represent a lot of acknowledgement of self-undoing, you know, bad habits that we all have, self-doubt, reacting before we listen, wanting to interject ourselves and things that maybe don't even matter to us or something like that. Or like I said, fueling yourself or putting yourself into situations that you know aren't going to be great for you. And I feel like you're in the space when you're really acknowledging that. And this is obviously an ongoing process, but there are definitely more times in our lives where we're more reflective than others. And you're going into this month with this mindset of developing your self-awareness and also your intuition, because on this card, this man is blindfolded. So he has to be forced to trust the process. And it's like all around him are these eyeballs in the sky. So it just may even feel like, you may feel like this unknown sense of pressure, like eyes are on you in a way. So when we get into the second house, or the house of finances, family, things, like I said, things that you consume, your face, second house can also rule like your eyes as well, but let's not get that specific with this reading. So when it comes to finances this month, things are good. You have moments to celebrate. And remember how earlier I said it can be about you're hitting some sort of milestone because you have someone being celebrated on the card, and you're having congratulations. You're having people saying, hey, great job. Like, you know, good for you. Love it. This is amazing. Like, there's a positive vibes here surrounding your finances. And so I feel like I said, you're making a purchase that is some kind of big purchase that you have been wanting to do for so long, and you hit that milestone, or maybe you hit a certain goal. Certain people or certain pals that I've seen this month are hitting some sort of financial goal. And I'm saying month because I'm used to the monthlies, guys. So ignore me if I say month instead of season or fall. But you're hitting some sort of savings goal or financial goal. And there are many different examples of this, whether that be paying off debt, paying off a loan, making sure that you have, you know, maybe you've saved 10 grand. Maybe you have decided to invest in real estate or a new stock, or you've opened up your own Airbnb, or whatever the case may be, but you're hitting some sort of milestone within the area of finances, being promoted. These are all things that might even be worth being celebrated. So I really feel like this month in terms of finances is really great. And also when we have the Four of Wands and it comes to possessions, well, when it comes to like a wedding or a ceremony, then people come bearing gifts. They come to give you things. So I see that this month, more than likely, people might even be contributing to your finances. Perhaps you get some really cool gifts this month. Don't know, maybe it's your birthday month. Happy birthday if it is. But when I see this combination here of the Four of Wands in this place of finances, it's like, oh yeah, people are giving you opportunities. People might be saying, yeah, I'll pay for your dinner. You know, I'll buy you some drinks. Like, you know, this is on me. I'll cover this. Like, I got your back, etc. Da da da. Right? You are catering, you are being catered to, or you are being celebrated in some sort of way. Maybe it's even your work and you're just having like a lunch party and you're like, oh good, I don't got to pay for lunch, right? So there is that going on when it comes to your financial situation. So I really do feel like it's good, it's stable, and all fours rule stability. When it comes to things regarding your family, honestly, this looks like positive news, but I will also say, I'm also reading this card as family as well. And so for the most part, it may be good, but with the Emperor reverse, you know, the Emperor, it turns into a dictator reverse. So you might, maybe for some of you, you have a dictator-like character in your family. Someone who is pretty selfish and is only thinking about themselves. So I'll say for the most part, everyone's cool, but then maybe you have somebody, you know, who's a bit of a op, you know what I mean? So just want to throw that out there when it comes to that. And I really do feel like when it comes to like what you're valuing, what you're spending your money on, or what you even just decide to consume, well, because the Four of Wands represents this celebratory nature, reaching a milestone, weddings, marriage, even being in a space where you are feeling as though you are being validated in a sense. Sometimes the Four of Wands can represent and connect to that. I feel as though when it comes to any sort of regiment, diet, routine, it is stable, but you know, when you're at a wedding or when you're at a celebration, they're not known for like eating salads. You know what I mean? Okay, that's what I want to say. So this month, you might be indulging yourself just a little bit. And so I do want to keep that in mind. Or it could just represent like you're going to a lot of different outings or parties or eating out more, because most weddings are going to be catered. They're not usually something that's like a home cooked meal. And so this can just represent, hey, like I'm going to a restaurant, whatever, fast food chain, etc. Frozen meal, prepackaged meal, something that's already made, something that you don't personally have to put in the work to make, right? Just want to say that. And then also because the Four of Wands can represent homecoming, right? Maybe some of you are having some sort of reunion, or maybe you're reuniting with a family member or somebody who feels like a family member to you. So I just want to say that, okay? And there was something else I was going to say. Oh, since this is representing what you value, what you are valuing this month is the feeling of marking things off your checklist, to be completely honest, but then also you're valuing bonding time, community time, time with friends and family, and being surrounded by that, right? So I do want to say that this can also represent, like if you're finishing up like a milestone, like a graduation, it's like, oh, I'm spending money on my graduation party, or like I'm spending money to have a graduation ceremony or something like that. Like, so that's one of the interpretations. Let's move on. We have the Hierophant, and I've already kind of gone into a little bit of that and how work may feel a little bit structured this month and maybe to some degree rigid, but also it can represent support and having organization and procedures. There might even be some celebrations at work because the Hierophant is following the Four of Wands. And I do feel like this can definitely connect to, oh, we're having some good times here. Things aren't, you know, things aren't too bad to a degree. I mean, we do have that Emperor reverse. And sometimes if I have an Emperor reverse, and it is sandwiching this Hierophant and this Four of Wands, yeah, it can represent that some people are taking it too far when it comes to their power, or, you know, maybe abuses of authority, and they're not properly giving guidance. They're not acting as a leader. So I do want to say that. I feel like when I see these cards together, it's like you're building a sense of community. You are maybe even teaching or being taught things within a work environment that you didn't know before. Sometimes this can represent, like, you know how sometimes people have like trainings, like they might have a week-long training, a 3-day training, or something along the lines of that. This can represent going through some training at work. It happens. Sometimes we do this. This can also represent some sort of mentorship or guidance within your work. It's possible that maybe there's some changes within the structure. I don't think so though, because I feel like the Hierophant it's nestled between two fours. And even though the Emperor is reversed, he's still like he's just kind of like more rigid reversed. Like he's more like, let's keep to the status quo when he's reversed. So I don't think it's like a lot of changes at work. I feel as though this is just maybe you're just receiving more mentorship and guidance, right? or maybe you're just learning by observing the people around you. Sometimes that's a way to learn as well. Okay, that is just what I want to let you know. When it comes to your reputation, people will generally see you as someone who's like a counselor or a coach or somebody who's highly knowledgeable and very qualified when it comes to your career and your work environment. They'll see you as someone who maybe fits really well within the company culture, that you uphold the standards that they're looking for within their corporation or their company or the company's values. And so this is very good when it comes to that. So people will see you as that team player. And to some degree, this can represent, religious holidays, time off for company holidays, which makes sense. It's the fall. But I'm looking at this because we have the Four of Wands next to the Hierophant, and that's like company holiday if you read them together. And so that is what I want to say when it comes to that. But for the most part, your reputation is being someone who follows the rules and does things according to processes, and being someone who is credible within their work, someone who is reliable, and someone leads from a place of trust and, I guess, ethical depth, or having great standards. Like you're a trustworthy person. You're not coming off shisty or shady or something along the lines of that. So it's a really good reputation for the month. But like I said, I don't think, for the most part, things are too crazy at work. Like I said, the Hierophant, he pretty much upholds the status quo. Now, the Emperor next to the Hierophant, now, like I said, that can indicate, like I said, some people in authority, power tripping, but that's probably the only thing you need to worry about in this month. Now, let's get into the love stuff. We have the Emperor reverse. Now, for some of you who are in relationships, this can represent that someone is being a little bit inconsiderate of the person that they are within a relationship with. Now, it could be you, could be the person you're with, but the case is that the Emperor, when he's reversed, he is that authoritarian-like figure. He's someone who is, we got to do this my way, or it's the highway. So it can represent power struggles within a relationship where somebody's trying to dominate the relationship or to control the person or to make all the decisions. And so that can be happening with the Emperor reversed. One person acts like the boss, or they're like above someone, or they're better than someone. On the flip side, this can represent someone is taking a lack of responsibility. They're dodging commitment. They're dodging accountability. They're not stepping up to the plate. They aren't opening up. They aren't sharing their ideas. They're not sharing their plans. It's a lack of vulnerability. The Emperor is extremely guarded when he is reversed. Okay? He doesn't trust anyone. Everyone can get these hands. He's E for everyone when he's reversed. You know what I mean? So that is like, the Emperor reversed. Okay? And that can work within dating scenarios as well. Like if you're single and dating, you might find that you're meeting people who are always trying to control the plans and what you do together. And they're just kind of like focused on their own needs. Like they're saying, oh, let's go golfing. And you're like, I don't even like golfing, right? Or, let's go see this movie. And it's just like, I don't want to see that movie. So they're just thinking about themselves and their own needs when it comes to the dating life. I will say maybe some positives about the Emperor reversed is that it can, in a way, if you've been dealing with someone who's been rigid and who's been kind of like this authoritarian, this can represent breaking away from that and saying, all right, I am no longer going to be locked into tradition, and I'm not going to follow this path of, like, let's say you're in a heterosexual relationship where in heterosexual relationships, the tradition is like the man leads. So the Emperor reversed would be like, hey, I'm breaking away from that, and I rather just be with someone who I view as an equal. And so it's rewriting the rules of a relationship. It's rewriting that narrative that it has to be one way or a certain way. And you might even be taking that approach to love, okay? If you are like really single and you're not in a relationship and you're not dating, well, what I see here is that this can be a shedding of ideas of what you believe a relationship should look like. And so when we have this Emperor card reversed, what this is happening, as I mentioned before I got cut off, is that you may even be pulling back on your ideas of what your expectations are, or when it comes to love or within a partnership. Because the Emperor has a very structured view of how he goes about, you know, forming relationships and connections. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can see throughout history that when emperors get married, it's not just like this, you know, flowy thing. Like, it's a very structured and procedural way in which they formulate, you know, those bonds, those connections, right? And so when you have it reversed, it's like I'm letting go of this process I thought, or this system I thought was what I wanted or what I had in place, and I'm letting go of those expectations, and I'm being more open to letting connections unfold in a more natural way. So it's less structured, less rigid in that way. I love how there's structure and rigidness within the work environment, but then your free time, you're just like, I'm gonna let my hair down, right? So I really love that for you. I think that when we talk about the Emperor, when it comes to fun, it's pretty similar, right? It's about like, I'm not going to do the same things I normally do. I'm going to try to do something that's not necessarily something I would dip my toes in, you know, something that's a little bit more out of the box for me. Because the Emperor upright is just like, I'm true to myself. I know who I am, da da da, right? Very, I am Aries, right? And so when it's reversed, it's like, well, let me try being someone else a little bit. It's that Libra feel to it, right? Like I want to move with the crowd a little bit. I want to see what other people are doing. And so you might be trying things, like I said, that are a little bit out of your comfort zone, that are a little bit more unconventional for you in particular, right? Less serious and more playful. And if you've been someone who spends a lot of their free time, you know, working on their goals, getting things done and being responsible, the Emperor reverse is like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm trying to enjoy the moment. I'm not going to map and think about the future. I'm going to live like I'm living for today and not for tomorrow. Because the Emperor upright, when he envisions things, well, when he's upright, he's envisioning things and he's envisioning for the future. I have always gotten the Emperor to upright to rule that. He's always planning the next steps. And so when it comes to him being reversed, he's more spontaneous. And so you might be more open to friends or family hitting you up for plans, or what are you up to this weekend? What are you doing today? Like, you might just go with the flow and stepping into experimentation, meeting new people. Also, because the Emperor generally just associates with people who are, you know, more royal, more noble. Like, you might be associating with people who aren't typically within the boundaries of people you might normally talk to or associate with. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're looking down on them or anything. It just means like, oh, I don't typically, you know, talk to a lot of farmers, but I find myself talking to a lot of farmers this fall, you know, like something like that. But it's very lighthearted energy. It's like, you know, I'm putting my feet up, I'm relaxing, I'm going in the tub, like I'm getting out of this space where I have to be a responsible adult. You're less adulting during your free time, more freedom, more lightheartedness is, you know, all I can see. A lot of laughing. I just really do think that. And if you're someone who is dating or looking to date, you might just say, oh, I'm thinking of being open to someone who's not my usual type. And you might have that mindset, and you might go into the fall with this mindset. So there's that. Also, when it comes to dating, the Emperor reverse is more so like, since they're not looking towards the future, they're just like, let's see where things go. in terms of attitude when it comes to dating. Just a little kind of like a little flirtatious vibe. It's not like, let me jump into something serious right away, or let me go into it with the intention of being serious. The Emperor reverse is quite the opposite. He's not serious. When you have the Ten of Cups as the overall feel for the month, well, don't we love the Ten of Cups, because this is a boost in happiness and emotional fulfillment, which I love to see, because you may have started the month being a little bit anxious, or just anticipating some changes or transformations, or wanting that to happen. And now I feels like when you look back at the fall, you say, wow, so many things happened this month that brought about a sense of deep satisfaction, peace, and emotional fulfillment for me. It feels as though I am looking out for my long-term happiness, or I'm doing things that can provide me a new sense of joy. And that Uranus in the 4th house, like I mentioned, there can be this emotional feel to it, where it's allowing a sense of freedom when it comes to your emotions and feeling a little bit more relaxed. It's actually interesting, because Uranus in the 4th house can bring about like anxiety until you learn to relax, you know? Like it'll amplify that, and then it comes to that point where it's like, I gotta do something about it. Let me just chill. Let me just relax, right? And so I feel like you're relaxing more. You're in a state of calm. Like there's a lot of powerful, wonderful, beautiful moments that are unfolding for you within the fall. The Ten of Cups always connects to those strong family bonds, connecting with people who are loved ones, friends, reunited, and it feels so good. That is the Ten of Cups like energy here. Lots of support from your community and people surround you. Like I said, don't get me wrong, that Emperor reverse can represent that you may have an op or two who might be a friend or a family member. But I think for the most part, your fall is feeling as though you have strong, stable communities who support you emotionally, where it feels like you have a strong sense of home. And then, like I said, literally for some of you, you might be getting that new home, or you might even be making renovations to your home. So now that it feels more like a home. So I really do feel like this is happening. Like you're in a relationship where you feel seen or supported. You're dating someone who really connects with you, and your friends like them too. You are, I don't know, like you are feeling like there's a lot of love and things to be happy about within your life. But the Ten of Cups is a shared joy. And so it feels like other people around you are experiencing that happiness and fulfillment as well. And things seem to be shifting for the better. And I made a video, it was during a live. I guess it's not a separate video, but during the live, I was talking about the Saturn retrograde in Pisces and the Uranus retrograde in Gemini. And I spoke about how during that time period back in 1525, when this last happened, it brought about more happiness and freedom. Technically, it brought about a little bit more freedom for everyone, but it brought about more happiness when it came to certain people, particularly in West Africa. There was a increase in quality of life. And to me, it feels like maybe that Uranus Saturn retrograde might be affecting your life in that way, where you're having more freedoms, where you are getting rid of that rigid structure, where you are feeling as though you don't have to be so wound up all the time. And especially since we have this first house here, the body, the first house represents who you are, yourself, and how you move through this life. So it's a lot of focus on your own desires and ensuring that what you have and your vision for what you for your life is unfolding, is happening, and you are taking steps to bring about that fulfillment. Now, it's hard to give a specific definition when it comes to events that may unfold when it comes to the first house, because the first house really does affect your whole chart. When you have these major transits and upheavals and aspects to the first house, it really does change so many different aspects, from your career, from your job, from your friends that you hang out with, from your physical form, hence the body. And so I feel like there's so many different areas of your life that are improving, that are changing, that are transforming for the better, for the fall, that the cards are saying, hey, just like know that there are beautiful days coming. Also, because we have the first house, let's be more literal. You might even be making some adjustments when it comes to your body, or your body might be undergoing some different transformations, or your appearance in general. Just because if we're talking about the Four of Wands in the second house, it's like, hey, I'm spending my money to look more glamorous, to look more, you know, not like an everyday casual look. Like I'm being a fashionista in a way. Like I'm stunting, I'm coming through, right? So I think there could be some alterations to the appearance, and then, you know, maybe you get some contacts, maybe you get some glasses. These are all things that can shift and change. And so I do want you to be aware that there may be some transformations and changes when it comes to the appearance. So there's that. And maybe you even learn, like some people, they don't know how to do makeup. And maybe you even learn to experiment and try out some makeup and up your skills in that area. I do want to say that my comment is not a diss or anything like that. I'm not like, oh, if you don't know how to do makeup, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, I'm just saying some people don't know. And so you might even be experimenting with that and adjusting how you present yourself. Sometimes this is about your own personal branding, whether that is in person or whether that's online. You may be making some changes in that area. And as I said towards the beginning of this reading, the first house represents a new beginning. So you're finally beginning that new chapter. So that is what I have for you, pile number 4. Hopefully this resonates. You know, if not, feel free to choose a new pile or a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. If you want a private reading from me, all you have to do is click the link to the form in the description bar, and I will get back to you with a reading. I do tarot readings. I do Vedic chart readings. I can do Western as well. But my preference is obviously Vedic. And then if you want to ask me a question on live, just join the lives. Sometimes we talk about astrology. I'm definitely going to do my weekly collectives on the scheduled lives. That is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Time is posted on the community tab by Tuesday night. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 5, let's get into your fall 2025. And don't mind me if I say month. I'm used to doing the monthlies, so I've been slipping up and saying month a lot. So we have the Empress for where you're at, the 7 of Pentacles for finances. We have the Strength card for reputation, career, Ace of Swords reverse when it comes to love, and the 4 of Wands as an overall feel for the month. We also have your Astro card, which is Leo. I will. So let's get into this month for you. Oh, of course, the Astro dice. How could I forget? I was like, am I missing something? Yes. Whoa, let's try this again. Okay, I didn't mean to hit it, but I'm just going to go with it. We have the first house, Cancer, Jupiter in the first house in Cancer. Wow, that's interesting because in Western astrology, Jupiter is in Cancer right now in the sky. I love when we get current sky placements when it comes to the readings. So you might even want to look at where Jupiter is in Cancer in your current astrology. That might be relevant for this fall. I mean, it's always relevant. It's where the transits are currently transiting in the sky, but I guess it's particularly being highlighted in the fall. So when we have Jupiter in the first house in Cancer, this is good because it's about kind of like an expansion of your willpower, meaning the things that you want to do in this life, you're getting more opportunities to be able to do them. So I've seen people have Jupiter transit their first house, and they've been able to expand businesses, lose weight. Sometimes people gain weight, but you know, I don't know if that's something they want to do, but it depends on the person. And it can give opportunities towards education, learning, or just feeling like you're finally getting like a lucky break in life. So that is the energy that is coming in for you. Whatever you're setting your mind to, especially when it comes to like your mental health and emotional growth, this is a really great opportunity for that. If you are someone who needs an opportunity or is working on processing certain emotions, this is a wonderful time to do so, because Jupiter in the first house in Cancer is about bringing wisdom towards you. It's about bringing opportunities for enlightenment, sort of like tower moments in a way, just meaning the revelation part of tower moments, but a little bit more of a gentler transformation, because Jupiter will take things a little bit more slow. I've noticed that. And I really do feel like when I see this combination together, I have seen people be more social, or even there's just this fire inside of them that really wants to get things done. And so I really feel like in the fall, you're coming through with this energy, this inspiration, and you're moving through the fall season with this newfound momentum. And so this is really great for you. I really enjoy seeing this energy coming for you this fall. Now, obviously, with the first house, this can represent some changes within your appearance. As I mentioned, sometimes Jupiter can represent like, gaining weight, losing weight, but sometimes it's like editing to like your hair, your style, getting contacts, getting glasses, new skincare regimen, getting your like nails done more. Like, it's really about this transformation of the appearance as well, but transforming in a way that makes you feel good, that makes you feel better about yourself. It's that Cancer feel. And remember, in astrology and in tarot, or I should say in tarot, Cancer is connected to the Chariot card. So it's about victory. And so this feels like you are having a lot of victorious moments, a lot of moments where you feel like a winner. And when you're making these transformations, whether that be in your life or directly to your appearance, these are transformations that help you to feel better about yourself and help you to feel more like a winner. So I really do feel that that is the direction that is coming for you during this fall. Now, as we're starting the month, we have the Empress for where you are. I love to see the Empress here, because the Empress represents happiness and fulfillment. It represents being someone who is in their element. They're at peace. They're in this creative flow. They're in this mode where they're nurturing themselves or nurturing others, or both. They are generally relaxed. I've gotten the Empress card a lot to represent like proposals and things along the lines of that, motherhood as well. And it really just feels as though it's maybe a milestone moment to some degree, but a milestone moment in terms of like happiness and fulfillment. It doesn't have to be directly those areas, like you're going to get proposed to, or you're going to become a mom. I mean, it could be, maybe you are a new mom, maybe you've just recently gotten proposed to, but the whole point of it is you're in a space where you are attracting abundance, and you're opening yourself up to it, opening yourself up to those avenues. Because sometimes we say we want certain things, but we don't do the work to make sure that that is happening for us. You know what I mean? Like, I can say I want $1 million and sit in my room all day and do nothing. That doesn't give me any avenues or pipelines to gain $1 million, right? So this is the Empress card here. You're doing things to make sure that that happiness continues to grow and flourish within your life. It's a sense of softness and care and comfort, and you are in a place where you are nurturing and taking care of yourself. You may even feel strongly supported at this time. What I love to see when we have this Empress card here, and we also have Leo. So Leo connects to the 5th house, which is like the house of entertainment, free time, education, leadership to some degree. And also it connects to children as well. So that's why I said maybe for some of you, you're spending a lot more time with children. Maybe you recently became a mother. Maybe you've been focusing more on mother or fatherhood duties, I should say. I always say mother because it's the Empress, but yeah, it could represent fatherhood duties as well. But when I see this combination, to me, it shows that you're focusing on your creative energies and your creative juices. And also, I have noticed that it can bring about newfound inspiration within your life, because that 5th house, 1st house, 9th house, these are like the fire ruled houses, and fire always rules inspiration. And so this brings about new comfort, new happiness, new joys within your life. And I really do feel as though when I'm looking at these cards, I think that you are gaining a lot of opportunities to up level in terms of skill, to relax during your free time, to not be so stressed out all the time. Maybe you are dating more. I don't know. We have this Ace of Swords when it comes to love, so I'll have to get to that in a second. But it is possible for some of you, you are going on some more dates, or if you already have a partner, you guys are sort of looking at new ways you can, I guess, communicate, flow together within a relationship. That's the word I want to look for. But it does bring about wanting to feel a sense of joy and pleasure in your life. And I really feel like that is unfolding for you in the fall. I remember one time I had this Venus transit my 5th house, and it was a time where I was trying out and expanding the things that I wanted to do. Like, you know, things I've always had on my brain, or have had maybe not always, but some of it was more recent, but it has been on my mind to try it. Like, you know, going to do like a little tea party thing. Like you can go to like, I think here, what is it? Is it the W hotel? No, it can't be the W. There's one hotel that allows you to do like a tea party. And then there's other places that have like the little tea section thing going on. So there's that. And I feel like this is a time where you are doing things that bring you happiness and bring you pleasure and bring you joy. And you can also be learning new skills, making sure that you are educating yourself, because Venus is also a guru, similar to Jupiter. And if you are in school right now, this would represent like things going relatively smoothly, things going well. There's a lot more collaboration. Now, when it comes to the 7 of Pentacles as finances, I love seeing Pentacles for the financial position, because it really does represent tangible growth. You know, sometimes it's more emotional. Sometimes it is more so like I'm spending my money on things that are aspirational. Sometimes it's like a thinking process, you know, with the swords when it comes to money. But this is like, actual tangible milestones or efforts happening within the realm of money. So what we see here when it comes to finances is you are learning how to best spend your money. Whether you are somebody who is actually into investing, 401ks, ETFs, stocks, real estate. There's art, you can invest in art. There's so many different ways that you can invest. Whether you are into those things, that is something that you're trying to decide, okay, how do I want to invest? What do I want to double down on or triple down on? Maybe I'm looking for my next investing in venture. Maybe I'm trying to decide between 2 different REIT stocks or something along the lines of that. Maybe I'm looking to invest in Africa or something along the lines of that. But it's really thinking about where you're planting your money or your time so that it can grow in the long run. This is about maybe even doing researches on different savings account. Maybe your savings account only has like a, 3% APY, right? So you're only getting 3% invest of your savings growing. You know what I mean? All banks have different APYs. And so you decide to look for an APY that's like 4%, and you're like, if I put $1,000 in this, the bank will match it 4%, and that will grow a percentage of my money a little bit more than something that is going to be, 3%. You look more into those high yield savings accounts. You might even be looking for, what do you call it when you put your money in a sort of like time box thing for a certain amount of time? I don't know why my brain is slipping. This is my dyslexia, guys. Sometimes words just slip my mind. It's not a high yield savings account. You know what? I can't think of the word for it. But you have things with banks where you can set your money aside for like a certain time period, and it will have a higher APY percentage so that it can invest on itself and grow for a certain amount of time, but you can't touch the money. I'm describing it. So you can be looking into things like that in terms of your investments. But it really is thinking about how you're spending your money and how you can continue to grow it. And this can also represent like you're investing your money and your resources in things that will have benefits to you in the long run or that continue to grow. So an example of this is, I remember getting like something like the Pinnacle card. It was more of a positive one. It wasn't like the Five of Pentacles or something. And that month became about like making investments that could benefit me in the long run in terms of like health. So, investing and finding a good doctor to support your health in the long run. This is more so about figuring it out, more so than I'm like actively going to do it. You may do it at some point in the fall, but you're really taking your time to do your research for the most of the time period during the fall. And it could be something along the lines of, well, I am going to invest in a illustrator that I can work with because I want to create a book or some sort of project that I'm going to need various illustrations for throughout time. This can represent, I'm investing in my health. So I'm going to meet a dietitian, and this is going to help me build good long-term habits in the long run. It's just making positive investments that can help you grow and develop and stay stable and healthy in the future. And so I really like that. And since we're on the topic of health, I read this as the second house, and the second house is what you consume and what you put into your body. And so this is like making some strong considerations about what exactly it is that you consume or put into your body. For example, some people, they might have some sort of disability like depression or anxiety, and caffeine can sometimes trigger anxious feelings, and that can make your mental health a little bit worse. So the Seven of Pentacles would say, you know what, let me really reconsider myself drinking this caffeine because I'm noticing it has an effect on me. And do I want to continue to put this into my system and mess it up, or maybe I want to limit it? You know what I mean? Maybe I want to say, you know what, I'll have it once or twice a month, and that's going to be fine. But you're making these deep considerations when it comes to this month. It's an evaluation period. And you're asking yourself, what are you getting in return when it comes to how you are investing your time, your energy, and your resources? You start planting, well, you've already planted the seeds, but you're looking to plant more seeds so you can gain an even bigger harvest next time. It's all about the effort versus the reward. Because the Seven of Pentacles indicates to me that you have been working hard when it comes to building financial structures in your life or creating good habits, and you want to continue to grow that. You want to continue to make that blossom, make it better, to transform it, to have a whole field, a huge harvest of beautiful benefits and blessings when it comes to your finances and your health. And so I really do see that for the fall, that you're really making some really thoughtful and considerate choices. This is like maybe even putting effort into a side hustle and transferring or making edits and adjustments to it so that it can continue to grow and expand and build over time. So then it no longer is a side hustle, it becomes your main hustle. And these are things that are possibly in your mind within the fall. This can also be about reevaluating how you spend your money. Maybe you're noticing you're spending way too much on skincare. You're like, why did I spend $70 on shampoo? Like, what am I doing here? And so you're reevaluating that and you're like, actually, let me find a different brand that's going to be a little bit more budget friendly. And so I really like these sound choices that you have in terms of finances and, you know, the things that you may be consuming. And this can also represent, like, when it comes to family, you might really be looking, really at their behaviors or patterns and how they might be affecting you in the long run. You know what I mean? It's just about, like, let me take a deeper look at the family dynamics and understand how I want to continue to grow and nurture those relationships. And honestly, you might even find that your family dynamics are growing and changing over time, or maybe you're rehashing a few things, because we do have this Ace of Swords reversed, and this also connects to family as well over here. And you're thinking, am I the only one putting effort into this relationship? Or what am I really getting out of this connection? And how do I see these family dynamics playing out long term? You might even be thinking about the next generation. You know, how can I build towards saving for my children? What kind of lifestyle do I want to live? What kind of lifestyle do I want them to have? These are all questions you might be asking yourself in the fall. Now, when it comes to the Strength card, as career, as work, as your goals, as your ambitions, as your reputation, well, I'll say this. I've noticed the Strength card when it comes to, you know, work environments to be as if you are going through an uphill battle, okay? It represents that you may be coming up against the wall when it comes to stubborn structures or people who have maybe conflicting ideologies or who look at things from a different perspective than you do. This can also just represent facing general challenges when it comes to work. Maybe you have a particularly challenging client or a project that you are taking care of or an assignment. And it feels like you are really grinding away trying to get this thing completed or working with someone in particular. But the good thing about the Strength card is, for the most part, you manage to keep your composure when it comes to your reputation. It's about leading with empathy and keeping your cool in a very, very stressful environment. Strength card is definitely one of those cards that is like, oh, wow, I really need to work on my discipline. And it also connects to Leo, which is very interesting because people don't think of Leos as being very disciplined, but I've met plenty of Leos who have a great deal of discipline. And so I feel as though how you approach your work environment is with dignity, and you are showing up to prove that you are committed to the work long term. Now, it may not even be that job. Maybe you're just committed to your professional life long term, and you're committed to getting something out of it to grow in your professional life, which makes sense, especially with this Seven of Pentacles as what you're valuing this season. Sorry for my camera cutting off. So you're making choices that will benefit you in the long run. It is all about putting in the work little by little to grow within your work, your career, or your goals. You are slowly moving towards that. Even if things are tough, you stay the course. And this is why I love to see the Strength card here. It also shows that you maybe even be fueled by your passion. There's that word again, like you have a lot of passion within you this fall. And you're like, nothing is going to stop me, even if I'm going through a rough time, even if things are difficult right now, I'm going to keep going. And I think that shows people are seeing that. You know what I mean? It's showing up in your work. It's showing up in your reputation. People are seeing you as somebody reliable, somebody who is consistent, someone who is dedicated, somebody who has passion within their work, someone who doesn't let the chaos get to them. And your behavior shows a level of diplomacy that is gaining you some sense of respect. And as I mentioned, because Strength card connects to Leo, and Leo is connected to leadership, what I see here is people are viewing you as a leader. It may not even be within your work environment, but it may be in some other way that you show up in the world. People just have this perception of you being a leader and having those qualities within you. Now, in terms of the environment, like I said, it can create a more challenging environment, a lot of push and pull, plenty of pushback when we have this Strength card here. But you're going to show up and you're going to remain persistent. And I feel like this is going to benefit you in the long run. You're making some good strides this month or this season. So the fall, when it comes to love, we have the Ace of Swords reverse. Now, if you're in a relationship, when we have the Ace of Swords reverse, well, this can represent, just to be blunt, lies, okay? It can represent lies. It can represent deceit, but it doesn't have to be that devious. Sometimes it can represent miscommunications or misalignment, like misinterpreting what someone is saying, twisting the truth, or, missing important details when it comes to your conversations with your significant others. It's as if you guys aren't matching up, or maybe you don't have great conversation chemistry. Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes there's a strong physical attraction, but when it comes to communicating and ideas, it feels as if you guys aren't on the same page, or maybe it just feels that way this fall. Maybe you're recognizing some holes or lapses within your communication that could use some improvement, or maybe you're recognizing that maybe you guys just don't have that much in common. It just depends, on the situation. Sometimes it is a moment where you're like, I feel like we're just not on the same page lately and we need to realign. And then sometimes it's a moment where it's just like, I don't think that we have the same perspective on things. I don't think I trust your judgment. I don't think I trust you to be honest with me. And it's going to depend on the person. Now, I want to say, if you're single, this can be kind of interesting too, because sometimes the Ace of Swords is like this delay of an, aha moment. Like, oh, I never thought about that. And so it can still represent like a revelation or truth coming to light, sort of like the Tower, which I've referenced this twice in this spread, and I don't know why, but I'm going to go with the flow. And I feel as though this is like, oh, I finally realized this is why I communicate this way within relationships. It connects to my childhood and XYZ. Or you think that you meet someone new, you guys are in a talking stage, and then you realize it's not going anywhere. So it's a little bit of like a false start energy. Sometimes it's like that. And then also, if we're looking at this, you might be struggling to trust your own judgment or intuition. You might be doubting yourself when it comes to your discernment. You may be, I've done this before where I'm just like, oh, maybe that's just my anxiety, or maybe I'm just being paranoid. With this Ace of Swords reversed, if you are single, this can feel like, and this is particularly for those who are dating, it can feel as if they're being vague about their feelings or their thoughts, or maybe you yourself, maybe you're like really into someone, but you're like holding back on letting them know how much you're into them. The Ace of Swords is all about that hesitation for connection and communication. And I really do feel like for those of you who, let's say you're single and you're not even thinking about dating someone, sometimes the Ace of Swords is coming from a place of this anxious feeling. Like you're worried that things aren't going to work out. You're playing out situations in your mind as to why not to jump back into the dating scene. You're thinking about all of the ways that things haven't completely worked out in the past. And so to me, when I see this, I recognize that during the fall, you might be worrying yourself a little bit too much to fully engage in things. And when it comes to the things that you guys want to do overall, similarly as before, that hesitation still stands present. It's about maybe struggling to figure out the right ideas or even struggling to act. You know, sometimes people want to be content creators and then they'll just make a bunch of content and have like a bunch of drafts, but they won't publish them because they're worried about, you know, the perception or things being perfect. This Ace of Swords reverse gives that same feeling of not fully expressing yourself or putting yourself out there. And then sometimes, like let's say you do want to express yourself and put yourself out there. Sometimes this can feel as though you are a little bit mentally drained right now. Like you're a little bit in this space where you are feeling this mental fog and you're not totally engaged with any sort of crafts or hobbies or things that you like to do. Your mind is a little bit distant or focused on different areas. Or you may have too many ideas at once hitting you. Inspiration. We do have this Jupiter in the first house, and that can bring about inspiration. And you're learning to try to narrow down that focus and saying, okay, I'm spread in so many different areas. Maybe it's trying to focus, because the best way to succeed as an entrepreneur is to double down on something that people really like and want to receive from you, and to focus on that and then branch out to other different areas. I don't always follow that advice, but that is the best and fastest way to gain success. Because when you focus your energy on one thing, you're able to improve upon it and stack and gain more, like this Seven of Pentacles card. And so that is what I wanted to throw down there. You know, maybe you want to sit and write or film and create, but you're just like, oh, I have writer's block. Or you're over planning or overthinking some sort of hobby or, you know, situation. It's kind of like your friends invite you out and they're saying, hey, do you want to go rollerblading with us? I'm just throwing stuff out there. And you're just like, oh my God, who's going to be there? You know, if that person's there, they might, you know, act a certain way because last time, like it's overthinking too much. It's like, sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. That can be happening for you this fall. Okay. That's something you may have to work through. Now, the Four of Wands overall, we got the Four of Wands for someone else in another pile. So I love to see when we have repeating cards because it gives me an idea of the general theme and the collective vibe. So the Four of Wands overall lets me know that there is reason to celebrate. There are plenty of things that you are accomplishing during the fall. I mean, Four of Wands overall represents milestones, represents celebrations, engagements, anniversaries, graduations, launches. If you're launching some sort of product or something along the lines of that, or you're premiering a project or whatever the case may be, but there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot to be happy about. There's a lot to look forward to in the fall, and you're feeling that. You are in certain areas feeling supported. You know, if it's not romantic, like maybe your romantic relationships are good, but your family and friendships are a little bit like, I don't think we're aligned. Or maybe it's opposite, where your friendships are really great and, you know, family's a little iffy, and then, you know, your relationships are doing pretty well. But either way, you're being supported by someone, okay? Because the Four of Wands is not celebrating themselves alone, or we would have had this reverse. You're being supported by some structure, some backing, some stable home, some work situationship. It's a strong foundation here. You are stable at this time in your life, even if you don't feel that way. And to me, it shows that during the fall, you are coming from a place of gratitude and acceptance. You're really feeling like everything around you, or most of the things around you, are presenting, or I should say, embodying the energy that you would like to live your life in. This can also represent, you know, you're attending celebrations, you're attending gatherings. You may even be able to work from home to some degree. That can happen. This can represent that you are, you know, launching, like I said, a product, publishing something, putting something out there in the world, and people are like, oh my God, goodness, great job. You feel connected, you feel at home. And then sometimes the Four of Wands can literally represent home, okay? Like you're literally just saying, during the fall, I'm in my home element. I'm in this Empress vibe where I'm just like, I feel great in my castle. You know, I love it here in this apartment. I love it here in this condo. I love it here in my house, skyrise, whatever, wherever you live, you know, and you're just saying, you're relaxing, you are leaning back, and it feels stable. You have a sense of joy. I love the Four of Wands because to me it shows that there are things to be congratulated by. There are things worth celebrating. And also I do see the Four of Wands to represent not only being acknowledged by yourself, but you are also taking the time to take pride in your own accomplishments or your own reasons to celebrate. Maybe your birthday is in the fall, you know, and you're like, okay, time to celebrate me. And then you gather around your friends and your family and you have a good time, you know. I actually really love this enjoyment, and it goes back to that Venus and Leo energy that we were talking about earlier, that you are focusing on bringing more joy into your life this fall, that more good things are happening to. There's more reasons to celebrate, even if everything's not perfect. You're enjoying the life that you've built so far, and you're like, it's time for me to flourish. It's time for me to relax. It's time for me to put my foot up. It's time for me to enjoy the things that I have built and worked hard for. You know, the Four of Wands comes from that place of that Three of Wands. That Three of Wands had put things out there. They were testing things. They were wondering if their ships were coming in. And the Four of Wands is your ship finally coming in and saying, my goodness, I took a chance, I took a leap, and it worked out. And I feel that you're going to have that moment this fall. And when we see this Leo card here, once again, all of the elements that I mentioned before, the discipline, the excitement, the fun, the thrill, but also the level of ambition, okay? Because when we're talking about Leos, we're talking about this freedom to express yourself and be true to who you are, and to enact your own will and your ambitions in the world. That is why Leo is I will. Okay? This is about your own internal force, your own ability to control your life and control the narrative. I feel as if you are being provided more freedoms and more space to live the life that is going to bring you peace. There's just more peace coming into this fall. And I don't know how to emphasize that enough. I mean, I think I can leave it there when it comes to Leo. That is what I've seen for the overall vibe. At some point, it's about rising in confidence as well, because Leos are known for that confidence. It's more so like fake it till you make it, but it doesn't matter. It's like, hey, I believe I'm that girl. I believe I'm that guy, and no one can tell me otherwise. In fact, I'm going to let you know 50 billion times I am the ish, and I don't care what you think about that. And I feel like there's this rise in confidence in you during the fall. And I absolutely love it. And if you're a creative person, you're really tapping into your creative power this fall and expanding in that area. And it's just like you're proud to be who you are. So that is what I have for you, pal number 5. Hopefully this resonates. You know, if not, feel free to choose a new pal or new reader. Either way, I'm happy to stop by. If you want a private reading by me, all you have to do is fill out the form in the description. I do Vedic chart readings and tarot readings. And let me know if you would like to request a special like Western reading, Western chart reading. Some people prefer that, you know, system. And also I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Time is posted on the community tab. During the live, we do our weekly collective look ahead, and I'll sometimes give you astrological insights as well. Not every time, because, you know, I'm a little bit busy right now. You guys already know. I'm always telling you I'm busy, but it is true. It is true. I would love to give you more astrological insights. I would love to do it every live, but unfortunately, that's not the case. But stop by, because you may get some insights when it comes to the week ahead, the month ahead. We've talked about the eclipses. We've talked about, you know, Uranus going retrograde in Pisces, and Uranus going retrograde in Gemini, and Saturn going retrograde in Pisces. And Uranus will be entering Gemini. Not sure when this video will come out. I think it's going to come out probably on the 18th. So Uranus shouldn't be in Taurus again. It should still be in Gemini. But in Western astrology, I'm talking about. But that is what I wanted. Well, no, I'm talking about, you know what? Just go ahead and tune into the live so you can get those astrological insights, because right now my brain is Ace of Swords and is very foggy and scrambled. So I will see you next time. Au revoir.